Oh, this should be fun. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. I have wanted to do this for a while. We did it on the member show. Like, was it this week? Last week? No, it was last week. This week was Owen, but last week we did it last week and had a great time. And I thought, man, I want to do a follow up. But then I thought, it gives me a lot of insight into what the members think. But what is it about the non-members? Just everyday people. Everyday people. That was a good song. What was that, Sly and the Family Stone? Yes, friends. Going back in the old memory bank. But I just wanted to do this. This sounds fun. Plus, I'm going to be gone for a few days, so this kind of gives us, I don't have to leave us on a cliffhanger. Did a member show yesterday, a Q&A today, and then we'll come back Monday and we'll be raring and ready to go. Programming note, will not be here tomorrow at all. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, no shows. Candace, I think also no shows during that period of time. Lots of other wonderful creators out there. Lots of fantastic creators out there. Go support them, give them the work. Guys, if you don't support your favorite creators, they'll stop doing shows. They'll stop doing shows, and then you'll be stuck with Ben Shapiro. So I always tell people, if you don't want to get stuck with Ben Shapiro, go support your favorite creator, and they'll take care of you for a long time. So I'm going to get into this. I want to jump into this. Here's how we're going to do this. Daisy and I have been scouring through the comments, looking for ones we want to address. That doesn't mean if you don't have a comment yet, it won't be taken care of. But if you want to draw attention to it, just make sure we know it's a question. Either put the word question or Q or something in there, and that helps get a little attention to you. But by all means, super chats are off today. We're not going to go through the super chats in the show. We're just going to do Q&A. I get a lot of people say, I'd love to ask you a question. I don't want to pay 99 cents. That's fine. Tonight's your day. Today's your day. We may grab your question. We may pull it up. We may react to it, read it. Obviously, it is not limited to the Charlie Kirk case. When we did the member show, almost none of the questions were about the Charlie Kirk case. Lots of them were about me, other things, weird stuff in the world, whatever. I'll take as many as I can before my bladder tells me it's time to stop. That's usually when I shut the show down. I got about a 3.5 hour bladder. That's what I figured out by now. I got a 3.5 hour bladder. So when that bad boy fires up, we'll get out of here. But until then, I'll take as many questions as I can. A couple of things I want to say before we get going. One is, if I don't get to your question, it doesn't mean I don't like it. Just a time issue. You can only take so many. The second thing is, we've put the brakes on the chat a little bit because we don't want people just spamming their same question over and over. So I think we put like a 2-minute timer on the chat. That does slow it down considerably. And we recognize that's going to interrupt the normal flow of conversation. Usually we have like a 30-second break on the chat. But this will, I think, help us keep the spamming of questions out. If you want to support the program some other way, super gifts, super thanks, they're all on. But super chatting tonight, anyway, super chatting is off. So let me just roll through these, man. I'm actually, there was one super chat that came in, I think, before I had a chance to Daisy sent it to me. So before I had a chance to turn the super chats off, I think this came in like 3 hours ago, but I will read it and respond to it. I'd love to hear more about how to develop as a broadcaster. Would you be open to a live stream specific to podcasting tradecraft? As a Christian, I am particularly interested in this. No, I'm not going to do a whole live stream dedicated to podcasting or broadcasting. My recommendation is the same to everybody. Practice, practice, practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. So the more often you can fire up a microphone, fire up a camera, talk into the screen, learn how to speak into a camera, learn not how to look down at the monitor and watch yourself the whole time. I was watching there were two women, I don't want to describe them because I'll be ugly, and I'm trying to be nice today, trying to be nice. But these little women have this podcast, some chicks podcast. But anyway, they were criticizing me. And I was like, okay, well, I want to see I want to watch their craft, see if they're any good at it. And they're both staring down like this the whole time, bobbing their head up and down like pigeons. And I thought, all right, someone didn't tell them to practice. Someone didn't tell them to get used to looking into a camera. Someone didn't tell them to take your eyes off the monitor. Dan Bongino, same advice. Stop looking at the monitor, Dan. Look up. Look at the camera. Make eye contact. That's all I would say. Get comfortable. That's all I'll say. All right, let me roll through some here. Question, Baron, what are the 3 characteristics that intrigue you most about a woman, regardless of age? Oh, gosh. 3 characteristics that intrigue me about a woman, regardless of age. So let me say this. I think what attracts men to women and women to men, frankly, is the ability to procreate. Can't help it. That's just nature. I mean, look, that's what attracts dogs to each other too, ladies and gentlemen. We're not that different from dogs in that respect. So what you have is why do women think certain, I'm not going to get into it, PG show. But why do men think certain characteristics of a woman's exterior are particularly attractive? Well, if she has a certain hip structure, she can give birth to children. If she has certain upper body structure, she can feed those children. If she has a certain amount of extra storage around the upper leg and rear end, she can feed those children and sustain those children through a drought or through potentially a famine, pestilence. This is programmed into us, guys. It's programmed into our souls to have this attraction to one another. Same thing, women are attracted to men who can provide for them, and that changes over time. In the old days, it was almost always beastly, burly, strong guys. Now, like Harold the computer programmer, if he knows how to invent an AI program and become $2 billion man, he looks pretty good to a lot of women. People are like, why is she attracted to that squirmy little thing? Well, he can provide. He can provide and provide well. Money makes you look better. I can't help it. So, but what things intrigue me most about a woman? So intriguing about a woman, I've never liked tough women, like women who brag that they can beat someone up. Not a thing for me. Maybe some guys like that. Not a thing for me at all. I prefer feminine women who feminine women. I mean, I guess all women axiomatically are feminine, but I think I'm intrigued by a woman who knows how to be a woman, knows how to be a woman, isn't trying to be a man, isn't trying to be a dog or, I'm not into furries, but that I'm intrigued by that. I think I'm intrigued by how women age. Some women age gracefully, some don't. And I'm intrigued by that. I'm intrigued by why that is, why some women refuse to age gracefully and some women just accept it and say, hey, this is the second part of life. I'm a grandma now. Or I'm a great grandma now. Or, hey, I'm 94 years old now. Some women fight it and they end up, it doesn't always go well. So I hope that answers your question. I don't know if it intrigues. I don't know if it intrigues or just things I notice. If that makes me the worst human being on earth, I apologize. It won't happen again. What laws would you love to see implemented and or repealed? I would like to see enhanced accountability for public officials. Meaning, if you earn the public trust, if you're appointed to a high-level political position, or if you are elected to a political position and you commit some sort of fraud that would land you or me in 2 years in prison, I hope they get 20 for committing the same fraud. Not in their personal life, but in the public trust life. I think we're at a point now where the insider trading stuff is out of control. I think if you profit from your office in any way, there should be very strict, almost life in prison type of accountability. And I don't know what law that is. Laws I'd like to see repealed? I don't know. Late overdue fees for a library book. I don't know, man. I'm sure there's a lot, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. Good question, though. Any interest in covering the Kohberger, new evidentiary or Murdaugh trials? No, not really. I did do an opening on the Murdaugh trial. I was at least interested enough to research it and write an opening, but I think it's pretty obvious what happened there. Maybe I'm wrong. I've not covered it. I don't know enough to comment, but it looked pretty clear. The Kohberger trial, I'll have to see what happens there. I am intrigued by that trial, but I feel like I'd really have to get up to speed on that, and I don't know that I'm ready to do that right now. Do you believe in old wives' tales, superstitions, coincidences? Also got my book today, Stop Smoking. Thanks, Daisy. Bottle of goat water. Prayers appreciated. And luck. I'm a 43-year smoker. You'll be fine. And you'll be better off for it. And you'll save a lot of money, and you'll be healthier. So, do I believe in old wives' tales, superstitions? No, I don't believe in superstitions. Coincidences? Not even really do I believe in coincidences all that much. I'm really big on the, what's the word they use for it? Oh, gosh, it's some word. I use it all the time. I just can't think of it right now off the top of my head. Synchronicity. I'm a big fan of synchronicity. Like, I'm a big fan of God reaching out and saying, this dummy's not getting it. There you go. Oh, I got you, old man. I got you. We're good. So no, I don't really believe in wives' tales or superstitions. Like if you spill salt, I understand where they come from. I understand why spilling salt was considered such a bad deal because it was essential for life. It was very difficult to obtain. It had a lot of value, and you didn't want to just spill it, so you made people feel bad for spilling it. Same thing with mirrors. You don't want to break a mirror back in 1820 because a mirror might cost more than your whole house. You don't want to be the guy breaking a mirror. So I understand where they come from. They seem a little silly these days because salt costs 99 cents for like a gallon of it. And a mirror, I mean, every house is equipped with multiple mirrors, but that wasn't always the case. It wasn't always the case. Curious as to your opinion on QAnon and who do you believe Q may be? Thanks for all you and Daisy do every day. We love you and pray for you in Pittsburgh. Christ is King indeed. Who do I think QAnon was? I actually think it was multiple people. I think it was multiple iterations. What do I think of it? I think it was a psychological operation deployed on the American people to put the virulent support for Donald Trump and finally getting some accountability for public officials and the billionaire elite class, put them on the sidelines, tell them to sit down, do nothing, wait, everything's going to be fine. I think when Donald Trump got elected, I think there was a lot of fear, not so much from what Trump might do, but man, they had no idea that there were enough people out there that could get Trump elected. And his rallies were massive, and the people were angry, and they were chanting "lock her up," and there was all this stuff. And so I think they looked out and thought, "Oh, we got a problem on our hands. What if these people get motivated? What if they get activated? What if they just decide?" Owen Benjamin made a good point the other day. A banker is just a farmer. A banker is just a farmer. He's farming his community, right? He's just taking as much as he can out without destroying the crop. And the elites know there are way more of us than them. I mean, honestly, how many elites are there on the planet? There are a lot of people that we think are elites, maybe a guy in our community that stands above the rest in terms of power and influence. But in terms of dictating global policy, you're looking at a few thousand tops, maybe a few hundred tops. There's way more of us than them. There's nothing to stop. And I do not recommend this. This is not me calling for this. I'm just telling you how I analyze the situation. So please, by all means, and I'm not kidding, don't do anything that I'm about to say. But if everybody just rose up one day and just jumped over their gates and the 10,000 of you, there's nothing they could do. It's over. The whole system's done. So what do you do in that situation if you get a guy elected that you think might do that? Well, you would run a psychological operation and say, don't do anything. Trust me, they're taking care of it on the inside. You guys just sit tight. Well, yeah, Baron, but it looked like Q had insider access. Yeah, I know. Probably did. He probably was one of the insiders trying to box the big guy in. So that's what I think about it. And I think there were multiple iterations. I think it changed over time, potentially even teams of deployment for each iteration. I think there were at least 3 that I can kind of distinctly count. That's what I think it may be. I don't ever think it was a good actor trying to get a good outcome. What do you think the most damning evidence is so far for the jury to find TR not guilty? Well, so you've taken the bait. You've taken the bait. You've just switched the burden on Tyler Robinson to prove he's not guilty, and that's not the way it works. The most damning evidence he's not guilty would be something he's going to put on to demonstrate he's not guilty. The question is, what is the most damning lack of evidence the prosecution has so far? What is the most significant gap in the prosecution's narrative? And I think that is putting him on the roof. I think there's no question it's putting him on the roof. That is the most significant gap. That gap, I think someone tried to bridge that gap with a screwdriver, and I'm not sure that's enough. Not if I'm on the jury, that's not enough. Who would I want to have an off-the-record convo with, and who for an on-the-record? OB was great. I don't know about on the record because I don't know about off the record because they're just gonna lie to you. You know, if you told me they had to be honest, maybe I'll have a different answer. Being Daisy, I hope you and Candace have someone to listen to those endless X spaces. Number of people who turned malicious is amazing. Even the people who used to be yours and Candace's side are joining Bleak Snow. What is Bleak Snow? I don't care. Whatever. Did you mean to do what you did? I mean to do everything I do. What did I do? Been here since Trump's picture was on your wall. It allegedly wasn't. Now allegedly is on the wall and Trump's pic isn't. Did you expect this amazing result? No, I didn't. Someone mailed me allegedly. I thought it was brilliant, so I put it up on the wall. That's actually like a piece of iron or something. It's really sturdy. And Trump, I just had enough of. No, I didn't mean to do it, but if it worked out poetically, great. Can you please release one of your members' shows while you're gone? We'll miss you too much, please. I could release an older member show. Yeah, I could do that. Maybe Friday afternoon. I could do that. I think that's fair. Good question. Daisy, will you remind me to do that? I'll forget.
I will. I think the Danks one was good.
Yeah, I'll put the Danks one up. The Dankster was a great interview. I'll put that up. Good call. Thank you. Well done. Yes, I will. And don't miss me too much. I'll be right back. I hope. Baron, what are the three? I already did that one. How do we submit questions? Just here in the chat? Yeah. Just ask away. That's a good question. Baron, do you believe everything happens for a reason? Whether something good or bad, do you believe things happen the way they're supposed to? Christ is king always. So this gets to, the people are like, God just wants you to be happy and rich. There are people that believe that. Like, God only wants people to be happy and rich, and if you're not happy and rich, it's because you don't have enough faith. That's not my gospel. In fact, I see nowhere where in the gospel Jesus promises you'll be happy or you're supposed to be happy. I do think natural law tends towards happiness. That's a philosophical discussion that I think exceeds the bounds of the gospel itself. But I do think natural law tends towards happiness. But it's a reality. There will be people born this year in a North Korean prison camp and probably will die there, never having known a speck of freedom, nothing but suffering their entire life, and then they'll die. And did God intend that result? Was it supposed to be that way? Did it happen for a reason? I don't know. That's above my pay grade. I will ask when I get there. I'll ask. If you go back in time and live during any past time, which one would you choose? Well, that's difficult. I'd need one with air conditioning. I'd need one with air conditioning. No, if I could go to any time, let's assume for the sake of argument, I wouldn't be harboring some retrovirus that is harmless to 2026 man and would wipe out entire populations when I show up. Let's just assume that's the case. Because that would be my concern with time travel is you'd accidentally wipe out all of humanity. Like you go back to like 2500 BC and their immune systems are not adapted to 4,500 years of retrovirus development. Most of your DNA is just junk retrovirus, like a quarter of it. Not most. I'd say a big chunk of it. It's just junk retrovirus. And let me say this. If I ever wanted to pass on a message to future generations, I thought about this when they released this jab back in 2020. If I ever wanted to pass on a message to future generations, and I did not want it to get lost, but they had to be sufficiently advanced in order to decode it and read it, I would do it through DNA. I would make sure a sufficient quantity of the population was injected with some sort of RNA code that would encode itself and become part of your DNA, and it would be passed down to your children and their children and their children. And eventually everyone on Earth would have it, or a sufficient quantity of Earth would have it. I think that's better than building a stone tablet somewhere. I think it's better than building a monument somewhere or carving something in the side of a hill. All that stuff can go away. All that stuff, the Great Pyramids may be at the bottom of the ocean one day, a mile down, covered in half a mile of dirt and mud. They'd just be gone. All the temples in Mexico and Guatemala, beautiful though they are, superb civilizations put these things together. There's no reason why one day they won't be sitting under a mile of mud under the ocean. And, ocean floor is now where we are and our entire civilization's gone. But if there's any remnant of humanity, they will survive, they will propagate, they will push on. And, thousands of years later, they'll develop DNA technology and they'll be able to examine the DNA and they'll notice this code. And they'll say, what the hell is that? This is interesting. This is junk RNA. It's on the end of the DNA. It doesn't do anything. I mean, we just started getting here with the Genome Project that just kicked off, 30 years ago? We have no idea what all that stuff is. Maybe 100 years from now, we'll decode it and go, oh my gosh, there's an ancient civilization that wrote us a story, told us how we got here. So that's a long way to answer the question. If I go into any time during the past, which would I choose? I would go to the Younger Dryas period. I would go to the Younger Dryas period. I want to know what was going on at that time. If you could evaluate one piece of evidence for authenticity, what is it? Text messages. Text messages. For me, the text. Good call. If they prove to be authored by Tyler, he's guilty. If they aren't, the whole thing was staged. Yeah, I would say the texts. If Tyler Robinson genuinely sent those texts and we could nail down that it was actually his brain and his thumbs that was punching it all in, he's cooked. And I'll be honest, he's cooked. I can't see any other reason why he would send all that. My B and Daisy, what is the most trivial thing about which you have a strong opinion? Mine's probably mouth noises. I think that's probably the one thing in my life that I just cannot stand. And I don't like to be around mouth noises. I don't like to be around people that chew with their mouth open, chew gum with their mouth open. I just can't handle it.
It's so funny. I'm eating a piece of pizza right now.
You better have your lips closed.
They're closed.
Thank you. I don't want to hear it. It's gross.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything. I don't know. I pulled it because I thought it was a good question, but you got to it really fast. I haven't had time to think about it.
Well.
Yeah.
We'll be here all day.
Yeah.
We'll be here all day. Come back. Finish your pizza and then think about it. What are your thoughts on James Holmes? Never heard of him. Which one of your opening statements is your favorite? Probably the time one. I needed that one. I needed to write that. I needed to think that stuff. I needed to go through that in my head. I reflect on it a lot. It's one of the few opening statements I've actually gone back and watched all the way through, and I've done it a few times. Our editor on the Clips channel clipped that out and made a clip of it and put it on the Clips channel, and it did well. People liked that, and I liked it. I needed to hear that. Do you worry about someone becoming a stalker like celebrities have sometimes? Oh, I already have one. His name's Gary. He's like diminutive stalker, little bitty stalker. I already have one. Gare Bear. Britta, kinda. When she's sober, she stalks. I don't know. Maybe when she's drinking, she stalks more. I don't know. Like outside my house? No, I don't think so. How much info are you still holding back? Not asking you to release it. Just curious how much more you know that's not been released. This is a really good question, and people have very strong opinions on this. I know a lot more is coming. I know a lot more that is going to be discussed in the coming days, probably days more than weeks and months. And I'm telling you, it looks really bad for the Fed sloppers. It's going to look bad. There's questions that are going to have to be answered from these guys about, I can't say about what, but there's questions that are going to have to be answered. So I don't know. How do you quantify how much? It's information. So some. Question, are Americans really getting dumb and dumber with time? Newer generations don't seem that intelligent or curious. Is the movie Idiocracy part true? Yeah, one of the great myths is that intellect sort of does this over time, or knowledge sort of does this over time. That's not true. It goes up and down and up and down. I think over time it does tend to increase, but it might greatly decrease for maybe even thousands of years before it gets back up. I'll tell you one thing I've noticed that to me, just in the past, I was working at a tech company, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, an analytics company, a data analytics company, when the AI boom started, when ChatGPT, the first version, was released to the public. And I know how our job worked before ChatGPT, and I know how it worked after ChatGPT. And I saw instantly all the product offerings that, we're going to integrate ChatGPT, we'll make your life easy. All these people trying to ride the gravy train and get rich. Where I see it doing the most harm is in my emails and on X and in just public discussion, because people don't know how to use it. They don't know how to use it. They just ask a question. They pull up Grok, or they pull up that Gary does this all the time. They pull up Grok or they pull up ChatGPT and they ask it a question. It spits out an answer, and then they post the answer like, see? I'm like, dog, that ain't right. That's just wrong. Well, Grok said it. Well, I don't care what Grok said. Grok got it wrong. And I think that's making people stupider.
That's what I have a very strong opinion about, is people that just ask AI a question. I understand that it needs to be used as a tool. If AI gives you an answer, you need to go check that answer, because sometimes we've said this several times, but sometimes it's just not right. Or it'll say, this is the source. It'll say, I found it in this article. And then you read the article and it's not even in there. And then you tell it, hey, that's actually, you lied. You just made that up. It's like, oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll try harder.
It's really bad what's happening out there. It's making people stupid. It's making people stupid. It's making them lazy and stupid. And any tool can make you lazy and stupid, right? You could get a lawnmower and think, I'm just going to mow over everything. Well, there's beautiful bushes out there that you may not want to mow over. You could be stupid with a lawnmower. How'd you get into podcasting? The first time I was ever broadcasting was back in 2010. And I had a buddy that had a radio show and asked me if I wanted to jump on with him one night. I think it was like 6 to 8 p.m. or something, Monday through Friday. And he's like, hey, you want to sit in with me Monday or Tuesday? And we sat in and had a good time. And I got familiar with it and I really liked it. I always listened to talk radio. I always loved talk radio. I liked listening to, Michael Savage and Jim Bohannon and, who all did I listen to? Some nerdy little financial guy in Atlanta. I can't think of his name right now. He was like the antidote to Dave Ramsey, though I even listened to Dave Ramsey a little bit. Obviously, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, loved local talk radio as well. And so I was always a big fan of talk radio. And so when I had the opportunity, I would drive down the road and they would ask the talk radio host a question and I would turn the radio down and I would answer it as if I was the host. I was practicing. And I would try to get into the break and get out of the break. We'll be right back. And I would drive down the road. We'll be right back in just a minute. So I don't know why. I was just always very drawn to talk radio. And so when my buddy asked me, do you want to sit in with me? I was like, yes, absolutely. I would love to do that. So I did that a few times with him. Started doing some fill-in work with some other talk radio hosts in town. When they would be out of town, I would fill in for a day here or there. Was nervous, but was able to pull it off. I'd never done a whole show by myself, but I did, and it was fun. It was fine. I wasn't very good, but I enjoyed it, and I wanted to get better. So I kept looking for more opportunities to get involved, and I would ask people, hey, when you go out of town, consider me. I'd like to sit in for you. And I sort of became around town on the AM and the FM station, the local stations, kind of a fill-in, a guy who would come and sit in for somebody when they're out of town. And then I had a friend that had a weekly TV show, Sunday morning TV show, and he asked if I would sit in on the panel, and I did that for 2 or 3 years. I really enjoyed it a lot. Would do TV interviews with people when they would, have political stuff, questions come up, whatever. I would sit in with them. And then in 2014, July 14th of 2014, as a matter of fact, a spot came up on a local radio station, and the host they had was gone, and they'd planned to just run Laura Ingraham in that spot. And I asked if I could have it. I was like, I want to do it. I want to try it. And he's like, look, man, that'll never work. 9 to noon in this market doesn't work. You're not going to do well. Just understand you'll fail, but I'll let you try, and you can flail around on the air and fail here. And it took off. We really did a good job. It became a pretty popular show. We had get-togethers and got to meet with the audience and just had a really good time. Then I decided to go and work for somebody. I'd been working for myself at that period of time, had a consulting gig, had a law practice, and I decided to take a job in-house with another company, and it necessitated me getting off the air. So I did. And but I always had the itch. I always wanted to get back into it. And I kept having people, I was pretty active on Facebook at the time, and they were like, you should do a podcast. You should do a podcast. I didn't really think much about it. And then actually my neighbor worked for a computer company and got some cameras and a microphone or something at a event. And they were like, hey, do you want this? You used to do broadcasting. Maybe you can do something with it. I was like, yeah, sure. So I put it up. And then another friend of mine in town, he said he wanted to start doing podcasts, and he bought some equipment. So I was like, well, I'll buy a little more equipment and we'll fancy it up and we'll do a show. And so we did some practice shows together. Really, it was just to get him some reps, just so that if he ever wanted to go into podcasting, he would get over the hump, having done some shows and do it with somebody. He would actually come and sit in my office. I drilled some holes in the side of the desk, and I could show you those old shows. They're great. He may not want to be affiliated with it, but I could show them to you. They're great. They're just marked private on my YouTube channel. But we did some shows together. I started doing some solo shows. I started doing a regular Sunday night show where I just would come in and talk about whatever was in the news that week. Had a good time. Continued that. and then started covering the Charlie Kirk case with Google Trends, and now I'm sitting here and you're asking me a question. That's how it happened. It happened fast. It happened over the course of about 16 years. It was a 16-year overnight success. Question for George. When are you going to ask George for the sit down? I asked him the other day. And he told me he's retired from being interviewed. But I'll ask him face to face when I see him next. I'll ask him face to face. It's easy to say no on text, but I did ask. September 10th, if you could be a fly on the wall, where would you most want to be if it could help answer one of your biggest questions about that day? For me, it would be in the SUV. I think it's on the Losi Center roof. Now, I want to be right there on the ledge and look and see who is that and did they fire a shot? That's where I would want to be, the Losi Center roof. Can you tell us anything about the call from the principal yesterday? Keep going, Max. I mean, I can tell you that, no, I can't. I can tell you this case is very exciting and has a depth to it that has not yet been discussed publicly. That as it begins to get discussed publicly, I think will be a dark turn and will raise some serious issues about what the hell exactly happened that day. There's an undercurrent in this investigation that has not yet been discussed publicly. And I think the reason why is because the information's still being gathered, and once it becomes discussed, it'll just stop. So if you released everything you know now, then that avenue is shut off from you. Whereas if you don't talk about it, people may not know that this is something that they should otherwise be guarded about. I was curious if you watch Ryan Hall, y'all, for severe weather coverage. He's better than my local weather guys. Crisis King, your number one fan in Garden City, Kansas. I do typically, but the problem is sometimes if there's severe weather in Middle Tennessee and he's covering it, sometimes there's severe weather in Indiana and he's covering that. I'm like, hey, go back to Middle Tennessee. The Hoosiers can fend for themselves. But no, I do. I like Ryan Hall quite a bit. He's a good guy. What do your kids think of you becoming more popular? I don't think they know. My older kids obviously do, but I'm not sure the younger 5 really know. Younger 4 really know. Certainly the youngest ones don't know. What do the older ones think? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't talk to them about it. I never talked to them about work that I did before either. You know, they didn't know much about lawyering either. Did you ever spot Dolly Parton in Nashville? What is your preference of music? So I grew up down the road from Dolly Parton. Her house, my childhood home from 3rd grade till I left high school, and the house my mother lived in until just a couple of years ago was, I don't know, a mile or 2 from her house. It was one turn away. And so she was here, she was present, and everyone knew where she lived. I did see her husband one time at Costco, Carl Dean, and I just knew who he was. He's a very private man, he's dead now, but he was a very private man. And so there was no way in the world I was going to acknowledge that he was Carl Dean, because that would have been everything he hated in life. And why would I do that to somebody? I know the man is private and doesn't want to be recognized. Why would I let him know I recognize him? So I did see Carl Dean at Costco one day, but yeah, I don't know. I never saw Dolly Parton just bebopping around town. You get to a certain level of fame, you don't bebop anymore. Not much. Allegedly, in your opinion, if you had to present this case right now, how would you do it? Where would you stand? Obviously, as much as you can say. As the prosecution or the defense? I don't know. I can't answer the question because I don't know what the defense has. So I have no idea what their defense is. And I frankly don't know what the prosecution has. I really don't know what their prosecution is. If all we saw at the preliminary hearing is all they had, I think they're in a world of trouble. You got to be able to put them on that roof. You have to. You can't just say there's a screwdriver up there. That's not going to cut it. Not going to cut it. You just can't say there's a gun in the woods. There's 5 sets of DNA on that gun. Who the hell else's DNA is on that gun? If you can't answer that question, you can't put Tyler Robinson on that roof. You just can't. I'm sorry. That's not enough. That is the definition of reasonable doubt. You're going to have to answer who the other 5 people are, or at least rule people out. You're going to have to answer who else's DNA is on the screwdriver, or at least rule it out. You're going to have to explain why they couldn't get DNA from the sweat drop, why they couldn't get his prints from the fingerprints on the roof, why they couldn't get his prints from the prints in the hallway or in the stairwell. Like these are real questions, real questions. You got to put him in the car. You got to put his phone in his hand. Just because his phone is somewhere doesn't mean he's there. You're going to have to explain why Mrs. Noble thought she saw a bald man and 3 passengers driving the car at 12:30 in the morning. That's a real problem. It's a real problem. But yeah. Could I share a family recipe? Do we have a family recipe? Something that's just ours? I don't know. Family recipe. I don't know. If everybody knew how to make Mrs. Coleman's chicken thighs, we would cure obesity in the world because they're boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and they're phenomenal. I don't know how she does it. She puts all kinds of seasonings on it. She puts olive oil in the pan. She fries them up, and then hits them with a little vinegar at the end, either red wine or balsamic vinegar at the end, and whoo, Nelly, they're good. No carbs. They're great. What would you consider to be the most interesting things you've uncovered during the 9/10 investigation? It may not be related to the crime. I'm really intrigued by how TPUSA has managed to operate, because the more we learn about how they operate, the more we realize it's not what we all believed it was. This is a very complex organization that has extensive ties to government, basically operates at times, it seems. I'm going to use this very loosely. I'm not accusing them of being a government agency or something, but it operates almost like a government entity, almost like a piece of the federal government. It's very strange. Also, the fact that so many people, donors, employees, family of employees, supporters, have close ties to the human transportation business, child transportation business. And by transportation, I mean like when we tell people to go out and play in traffic, that type of business. It's unbelievable how many of them have that. And when you combine that with this weird backstory for Erica Kirk, I'm sorry, guys. I hate it. I wish it made sense. I wish I could just accept that she is who she says she is, but she has so many documented lies. So many documented lies. How many beauty pageants have you been in? Well, it depends on what podcast you're listening. None of them comport with reality. I think the answer is 6 that I can tell. I've never heard her say more than 2 or 3. So that's weird. Where did she go for a year in Colorado? Why did she take a year? Why did everybody think she played basketball 2 years and she only played 1? Where'd she go for 8 months? Why did she tell everybody she had 2 degrees from Arizona State University, a double major, and it doesn't appear that was offered? Why was there this idea that she graduated magna or summa cum laude, and why doesn't the program from that day indicate that? It gave everybody else's honors. Why didn't it give her honors if she graduated with those honors? And why was that program being hidden from the public? Why was that the one that was missing from the website? Like there's so much to this entire organizational structure that it's not the story we're told. And had Charlie Kirk still lived, I don't know that we would have investigated any of this. I don't know that we would have looked into any of this. I don't know that we would know all the weird transportation connections to all the people at in and around TPUSA. I don't know that we would know the weird flight patterns of where these planes go and who's on these planes and you know, like what the hell's going on in Sherman, Texas? They're there all the time. These planes, these Paradise Jet Jordans. Why are they in Sherman, Texas? It's that little know-nothing airport in the middle of nowhere. Is there some rich guy using it as a charter? Okay, I'll accept that. Why are all these people living in the same condo complex? These are multimillionaires. They're living in a strange condo complex right there in the Phoenix area. That's weird. You know, I don't ever want to live that closely around everybody I work with. I want a little distance, a little space, please. So I think that's the most interesting component of it, more than anything that happened on September 10th. There's a lot of weird questions about that. Where was Tyler Robinson? Was he on the roof? How did Charlie Kirk die? Who killed him? Why did they kill him? But the machinations behind the scenes. Think of would anybody have known that Charlie Kirk was taken to the Hamptons and hustled in August, and then taken to the donor summit and hustled in there about his support for our greatest ally? That all this pressure was being placed on him behind the scenes? Probably not. Did you guys know that's how nonprofits work? That they hassle the founders and they hassle the owners and they hassle the employees in order to stay in line on particular political issues relative to foreign policy positions? Probably not. Did you guys know that there's this weird preacher circuit with all these weird preachers? I think I could say the Rob McCoys of the world and all these weirdos in that crew that have all these weird connections. And I mean, would anybody be as worried about Victor Marx today? No, probably not. But now you look at his story and you're like, what a psycho. Why does he need 10,000 guns, 20,000 guns? Why is he sending guns to Haiti and into the Middle East? This is weird. Anybody know this type of industry even existed? And why preachers? Why people in this field? So I think that's the most interesting component and that's why I like the Charlie Kirk case, is that it's a jumping off point for all these different stories. You want to look at Victor Marx and his weirdo? Okay, it's connected. You want to look at Erica Kirk and her strange backstory? It's connected. You want to look at how TPUSA operates as a 501c3 and a 501c4 and where's the money coming from and where's it going? Okay, it's relevant. You want to look at this weird, almost militant arms trafficking network? I don't know. Child transportation network? I don't know. I mean, what is this? What the hell's going on? I thought it was just a guy talking about economics on college campuses, and then he dies, and you look in there and go, what the heck was going on in his organization? And to me, that's one of the more interesting. That's one of the more interesting components. Can you recommend any resource to introduce my teens to electric universe theory? Yes, YouTube. There's a resource called Thunderbolt. Hold please, I'll find it. Thunderbolt. On YouTube. They've got a ton of videos up. They've got a bunch of lectures from different people. They talk about the physics of it. It's really fascinating stuff. Thunderbolts, Electric Universe? Yeah, Thunderbolt. It's called the Thunderbolts Project. Thunderbolts Project. There's a movie on there. It's an hour-long movie called Thunderbolts of the Gods. It's good. Any Wal Thornhill lecture you can get your hands on. His name's Wal Thornhill, W-A-L. I think it was for Walton. He's dead now, but he was brilliant. Any Wal Thornhill lecture you can get. Spotify has a bunch. YouTube has a bunch. They're out there. Great stuff. Dark, but have you seriously considered the possibility of Tyler in a patsy role because he's harmed tiny humans? So not guilty of assassination, but a monster and arguably worse than aggravated murder. Of course I have. I've raised that issue many, many times. If you're a longtime viewer of the program, I've long suspected that's how he and Lance and their little crew got involved in this. And it's probably why none of them are willing to talk. If I had to guess, they're being threatened into silence. So yeah, I've definitely thought that. How do you convince my slightly liberal mom that getting the jab was and is risky? Her last booster wasn't that long ago. What information can I point her to that would be credible for a boomer? I don't know, man. Honestly, 6 years in, if you're still buying it, you may be a lost cause. And I hate to say that about your mom. I don't mean she's stupid. I just mean some people just can't be reached. Some men you just can't reach. That was a good movie. Baron, tell me about how the evangelical churches came about. And well, do you think the rapture is real? Why or why not? I can't answer the first part, but I can answer the second part. I don't think it's real at all. I understand a lot of people do. I'm not telling you what to believe. If you want to believe in it, that's great. I don't think it's real. I don't think it's outlined in Scripture. I don't think it's discussed in Scripture. And I don't think it was taken seriously as a Christian concept for the first 1,800 years or more after Christ. And I'm a big believer that Jesus left a deposit of faith with the apostles, and that deposit has been handed down over the years. And I don't believe that the deposit included the rapture, and then that was lost for 1,800 years and then rediscovered in 19th century America. That's just not me. Again, not telling other people what to believe. Don't care what you believe. What are some fun games you play with your kids at home? I don't know. Baseball? Throw baseballs. I have a bunch of kids and they play a lot of games together. I don't always get involved in them. We play card games. We play, I don't know, just normal dad stuff. Yes.
Y'all ever play dominoes?
We don't play dominoes, but we do have a domino set.
I used to wreck my family at dominoes when I was younger.
It's a good memory.
I love that. You should get into it. It's great.
What's your take on the current beef import situation? Dangerous and temporary Band-Aid that will cause long-term problems. Either because we're importing meat that is below the standard of the meat we typically consume. That's problem one. Problem two is it could have dangerous chemicals in it or dangerous additives that they use in foreign countries that we don't use here. So that's problem one. Problem two, though, is an economic problem. If you want to put farmers out of business, bring in a competitive product and sell it below what they can produce it. I don't believe the beef situation is high because farmers are greedy and trying to extract every last dollar out of a cow. I don't think that's it at all. I think it's expensive to raise cows. You guys may not know this, but my wife comes from a cow family, a cow adjacent family. I'll say that. Her dad used to raise cows, and then he went into the feed business for many years. I know how much that stuff costs, and I know what affects it. In fact, for many years, I almost daily looked at the price of a bushel of corn because I knew that directly affected my in-laws and their well-being. And so, if the world is used to operating at $2 a bushel corn and all of a sudden it's $6, it's going to make its way through the food supply at some point. It might not be immediate, but over time it will, and the food supply will get more expensive. The answer to that is not bringing in competitive meat at below cost. That's a way to put farmers out of business. They can no longer compete. So it might provide a temporary boost or temporary reduction to the price of beef in the grocery store, but at what cost? Is it a long-term harm to the beef industry here domestically? And is there a health consequence associated with it? I don't like it. I wish they wouldn't do it. You may have already covered this in the past, but have you heard of Kim Clement and about his prophecies? It seems as if this whole mess has been planned for some time now. Only vaguely have I heard the name. I don't have an opinion. Why did you try vegan diet? Then why did you stop eating vegan? I don't know, man. I'm a challenger. Like, I like challenging myself. I like putting limits on stuff. I think it creates character. It helps you build, or maybe helps you refine your character. And create character. Helps you refine or maybe reveal your character. If you say I'm not going to do something and you don't do it, that takes character. Particularly when something as delicious as food is at stake. I thought it might be healthy for a little while. I tried it. I did it for a year. I lost a tremendous amount of weight. I got down into the 140s. I lost like 4 inches off my waist. I looked ill. I remember I was at a wedding and all the guys were changing into their suits in the back, and I got down to my underwear, and one of the guys was like, "You don't look good, bud." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "You look terrible." He's like, "You used to look normal. You look awful." And I mean, I was doing everything I could to get whole proteins. Like, I was just pounding rice and beans. I was trying to eat any protein I could get in my body. But the reality is it wasn't for me. I was unable to be healthy.
I started because I was like, I had no idea. I didn't know you were ever vegan. So when I saw it, I kind of thought perhaps it was wrong. I didn't know you actually did that.
No, it was like 25 years ago. I did it for a year.
Oh, okay.
And I broke it. When I broke it, I broke down one night and I was like, I don't feel good. I have no energy. I'm emaciated. This isn't working. I'm going to Taco Bell.
Gosh.
I went to Taco Bell. And at the time, Taco Bell still had the like 79-cent, 99-cent menu. I got $12 worth of Taco Bell. Pounded it. I mean, I was like licking my fingers.
Never looked back. Never looked back.
No. Not only that. Well, I looked back for like a few hours afterwards because my stomach really hurt.
Yeah.
Your body stops adjusting to digesting that stuff. You stop producing whatever it is that your body uses to digest that stuff. And it was harsh. It was harsh.
So funny.
I don't recommend it. And when I hear people are vegan, I cringe a little. I'm like, eesh. So, but I know there are people who do it and they're healthy. I just wasn't able to do it. I'm hearing you say you're a round earther, not a flat earther. But flat earthers are round earthers too, just not sphere earthers. I think flat and circle like a pizza. UN logo is flat earth map. Yeah, and I don't buy that. I'm believing it's not a sphere, but a spheroid. Obviously, 26 miles, smaller circumference this way than this way. And that's what gives us changing landscapes over time. Have you ever been outside of the United States? I have. What's your favorite quote or saying? Thank you for all you do. Quote or saying? I don't know that I have a favorite or like one I live by. I love music, and I have song lyrics that I go to from time to time. There's a band no one's ever heard of, and they have a lyric in their song. I say no one's ever heard of it. Maybe someone has. There's a lyric in one of their songs that says, "No man is an island. Why then have you surrounded yourselves by oceans?" Surrounded yourself by oceans, and I think about that a lot. Because I try not to surround myself by oceans, but it's easy to do. That's by $50 Dynasty. It's one of my favorites. I don't know why. I know how I discovered them. I'm not like some hipster who thinks because I've heard of a band no one's ever heard of that I'm cool somehow. I just really like their album. They have an album called Procession. It's phenomenal. Every single song is stellar. But yeah, there's that line. No man is an island, so why then have you surrounded yourselves by oceans? And that I think about that a lot. I also think of there's a lyric from the Avett Brothers. And they say, decide what to be and go be it. And I like that because it's not go do it, go be it. Go be who you want to be. I believe in visualizing your success. If you want to be a certain way, you visualize it, and eventually you'll start to migrate. Your brain will start to do the things subconsciously that it takes to get there. So if you want a job that you have to wear a suit every day, you picture yourself in a suit. You picture yourself at that job. Your mind begins to subtly push you in that direction. I'm a big fan of mantras, but they have to be well written, positive, present tense, first person. So it's not, I want to stop biting my nails. That's negative. It's, I have beautiful nails. And you just say this, I have beautiful nails. I have beautiful nails. And you say it all day long, and you put pictures up on the wall or sticky notes on the wall, and they say, I have beautiful nails. And over time, your brain will go, well, you have beautiful nails. Why would you bite them? Why would you bite nails that are beautiful? I am fit. I'm a fit person. I am a fit person. If you say that, you don't go eat the second piece of cake, right? You don't polish off 6 Oreos before bedtime. You're fit. You get up in the morning, you go work out. I'm a good runner. I am not a good runner, but if I said I'm a good runner and I say that enough, then I start to behave like a good runner. I start to do the things that a good runner does, and I start to eat like a good runner. I start to fuel myself like a good runner. I start to run more. I'm a big believer in that. Positive, first person, present tense. It has to be positive, first person, present tense. You have to say what you want to be true not in order to make it true, but it helps. It helps. And I do that a lot. I do that a whole lot. Likewise, if you say negative things about yourself, your brain doesn't understand sarcasm. Your brain doesn't understand that you can say bad things about yourself. It doesn't understand it, so it makes it true. If you say, I'm a lazy butt, I'm so lazy. I'm always lazy, and you tell people, yeah, I'm pretty lazy. I like to procrastinate. Guess what your brain's going to do? It's going to go, oh, he likes to procrastinate? Well, we don't have to do that. We can do that tomorrow. No, you tell yourself, I do stuff as it comes up. I do things as they come up. Positive, first person, present tense. It's I am, I do. And you say it, and you say it, and you say it, and you say it. And you pick your biggest weaknesses, you reverse them on their head. I make my bed. I'm the kind of guy who makes my bed. Well, guess what? You say it long enough, you can start making your bed. That's my guess. My guess. I'm a big believer in that. So I don't know that I have a favorite quote or saying. But I do have a few things that pop in my head from time to time. You know, I love decide what to be and go be it, because it's not go do something. It's go be go be who you want to be. Tell yourself you're that person and go be that person. You want to be a giving person, there's only one way to do it. Find some way to give your time or your money. I mean, I think every major religion, that's a sacrament. Or I don't know what you call it, like sacrament or whatever, but I think giving is a major part of every religion. There's no religion where they're like, you should stockpile all your resources and be stingy and greedy. No. There's no religion that says that. It's the opposite. Every major religion says you should give some of your stuff away. You should give some of your stuff away. You should work hard for it. You should understand the blood, sweat, and tears it took to get it, and then you should disconnect yourself from it and hand it to someone else. So are you a giving person? Well, if I tell myself I'm a giving person, I might become a giving person. If I tell myself I'm a selfish, greedy bastard, I might become one. You know, so be careful bad talking yourself. I hear this too much. Oh, I'm fat. Well, you are, but do you have to be fat? What if you told yourself you're a thin, fit person and you just constantly told yourself that I'm thin and fit, I'm thin and fit? You'll start to behave like it. You know, oh, I'm lazy. What if you told yourself you weren't? I'm studious. I work hard. I'm a reader. I read a lot of books. I bet you'll start. Hey, B, what's your favorite family game? Board game, card game? Probably backgammon for board games. My wife and I love playing backgammon. We played, I don't know, a week or two ago. We used to play a lot. We don't play as much anymore because I work nights now. But I love backgammon. I like gin or rummy. You know, I don't like the rummy variety as much. I like gin. I also liked gin a lot back in the day out of a bottle and had to give that up. So, but yeah, I mean, honestly, I have a deck of cards on my desk and I've probably got, I don't know, 25 unopened decks in this drawer back here. There's way more of that. I've got fancy decks for when nice people come over. Like, I like card games. I like playing games. I like card games. I do. What's your favorite childhood memory? Ooh, childhood memory. I don't know that favorite. Oh, that's tough. What's childhood? Is childhood teenage years?
I mean, since you're older. Yeah.
The hell does that mean? Say it twice.
For me?
Say it again. Say it again.
For me, it would be when I was a wee little girl.
How much do you like working here?
I think before 18 is probably, that's fair.
Yeah. So honestly, this is a story I got to tell my kids the other day because my son was playing in a Babe Ruth baseball tournament. He's like, Dad, have you ever played in a Babe Ruth baseball tournament? I was like, yeah. And we had a really good tournament and we won the state championship and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Hit a walk-off home run in the semifinals to win that game 3-2. And I hit the go-ahead. That we were the home team in that one, and I walked it off in the bottom of the last inning to go to the championship game. And in the championship game, I hit the go-ahead sacrifice fly all the way out to the fence. There was a runner on third, but he could have moonwalked home. I mean, they weren't going to throw him out. And I hit that one, and that was the go-ahead in the top of the last inning. It was tied 5-5, and we won that one 6-5. So that was fun. That was a good experience. I really enjoyed that. I don't know if you're talking earlier, like little childhood. I don't know. I'll tell you a funny childhood memory. So we live here in Middle Tennessee, and in the late 1980s, GM, General Motors, decided they were going to open a Saturn brand, the Saturn brand. And so they put this Saturn plant in between Spring Hill, Tennessee, and Columbia, Tennessee, a little patch of grass in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing down in that area of the state. It was just cow fields. But they started bringing in all these people from the Midwest, all these GM employees from Indiana and Michigan, and all these places started coming down. And they were moving in this area to work for Saturn. And so, I moved here in 1988 in the midst of all that craze. I think they started moving people here in like 86 and the plant opened in like 89 or 90. So all these people are constantly coming. And so all the new kids from school from the Midwest, from Indiana, from Michigan, any of those areas, they were almost all associated with the Saturn move. And I remember I walked into my third grade class. It was my first day at my new school. It was at Lipscomb Elementary there in Brentwood. And it was in the old building. This building was built, it looked like in the 1500s. I mean, it was just a ramshackle. It's very nice. The new Lipscomb Elementary, I say new, it's 30 years old now, but the new one back then, the old one was just awful. So I'm walking this building, I'm thinking, where am I going to school? This isn't even safe. And I walk into my third grade classroom and my teacher, Mrs. White, she goes, "Oh, are your parents from Saturn?" And I thought, well, no, we're from Earth. I had no idea what she was talking about. It could not dawn on me that there was a GM plant called Saturn. I'd never heard of the brand Saturn. Very strange experience. I do remember that. I don't know if that's a great childhood memory. I will say, maybe my most fun childhood memory was we had a swimming pool a couple neighborhoods over. It was like a community pool. It's called the Dolphin Club. It was on Wilson Pike there in Brentwood, and you could get to it from my neighborhood without getting on any of the main roads. You could ride a bike, and all the kids every day, we would ride the bike over when it opened, and we'd stay till it closed every single day, all summer long. Play tennis, swim, just had a great time. They even had like a deck on top of like a concrete deck on top of the clubhouse, or not clubhouse, it was like a little office building. And we would shoot stuff off of there, water balloons off, and they would go up in the air and smash on the ground. They had a big field next to it, and we'd play like what we call tennis baseball. You get tennis rackets and tennis balls, and then you would line up, and you could just launch the ball. It was so much fun. That was a cool memory. That was a cool childhood memory. Question: do you think we'll ever see footage of the area where TF was fiddling with SD cards, but of when Charlie was taken down? Might see something interesting. We love your show. You brighten my day. I do. I do think you'll see that. And I think you'll see something interesting. What are your thoughts on Diligence serving the evidence he has to the defense? What are your thoughts if they don't use the receipt for his defense? I mean, look, I'm all for just as much information going as many places as possible. I don't have any issue with him doing it at all. I don't know that the defense will do anything with it. They may not even open it. They may throw it in the trash, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to look over the defense's shoulder and say they're doing a good job or a bad job. I don't think that's my role right now. They may open it, look at it, and say, we already knew all this. Or they may not open it at all. I don't know. I don't have any thoughts on it, really. Question: when you get to stand face to face with Jesus, what's the first thing you'll ask him? Love you, my bee. I have no idea. I mean, I have little funny things right now that I'd like to know. Like, was Atlantis real? Where was it? Who built the pyramids? What did they do? What was the purpose? Did Earth ever really... Did we ever get our power from a different sun? And were we supposed to be in this solar system? Or did we come from a different solar system and ended up in this solar system? Just because I have all these weird thoughts and beliefs. Were there really ice ages, or was that just a pole shift? Was Earth always in this present orbit, or were we actually a little closer and we had a 360-day orbit, or a 250-day orbit, then a 360-day orbit? Now, I think 255, 360, now 365. Did Venus or Mars ever make a close pass at Earth? I mean, I've got all these questions just that are unanswerable. What really, were there dinosaurs and what took them out? Are these layers of rock? Is this really distribution over time? Because that doesn't make sense to me. I've never understood that. Because why do you have like a giant 12-inch layer of all the same mineral? And they're like, yeah, that was a 10 million year period. I'm like, well, only that mineral fell on the ground for those 10 million years. And then supposedly this next layer is another 10 million period, but it's only a different mineral. Would it make more sense that it sort of all settled at the same time, and because they weigh different amounts, I don't know. I mean, I'll ask him. I'll let you know what he says. B, could you briefly tell us your sobriety journey? I'm 17 years sober in 3 months. Thanks, brother, and Christ is king indeed. Yeah, I drank too much. There's no doubt about it. I was in law and politics. I mean, everything revolved around drinking. So if you ever wanted to go out and do anything with anybody, you drink all the time. You drink entirely too much. We had a bar in our office. We drank during the day and then go home and drink at night. I don't know, man. It was just, I drank way too much and just need to quit. I don't know if it's a journey. Just one day quit. I had enough of this. I know there's more to life than this. And I needed to be a better husband and father, basically. If you could have the perspective and see the whole of 910 from anyone's eyes, TPUSA, security, Feds, which person would you choose and why? Dan Flood. Dano. How do you handle the constant negativity and attack? I don't even know what's happening. I have no idea what you're talking about. Was there attacking today? I don't pay attention to it. I mean, I really don't. Sometimes people will send me things, and so I'm forced to see it, or sometimes something will pop up on the next feed, and I'm like, come on. That's not what I said. But if they're not talking about you, are you really doing anything? Demons attack good people. They don't attack bad. I mean, I guess they do, but they already captured them. So I don't worry about it. If you go back to your 30, 31-year-old self and tell them 3 things, what would they be? Well, one is going to be take your faith more seriously. And by that, I mean all the things that come with it, including be a better husband and father. So that'd kind of be number 1. Number 2 is stop drinking now. Don't wait another 10 or 15 years. Stop now. I think the third thing would be, hey, man, well, maybe this would be covered in the first one, take your faith more seriously, but like you have got to stop worrying about the things right in front of your face. Like you can't be looking here. You got to look further out. You look up and out. I guess that's part of taking your faith more seriously. Take your faith more seriously, quit drinking, and life's fast. Life goes fast. I'm in that phase now. I've got 2 kids out of the house. I've got a grandchild. Like, life goes fast. When I used to not understand this. My mom told me one time, she was asking her mom about how it felt to age, and my grandma said, well, I'm still 17 when I open my eyes, or before I open my eyes. And I thought, that's so silly. I mean, my grandma was old. She was decrepit. She died of emphysema and cancer. She had the old lady haircut, the wash and set. Big glasses back before they were popular. Old people had big glasses. Now everyone has big glasses, but back then no one did. But I never understood what she meant by that. Like, how do you feel 17 before you put your feet on the ground? But now I get it. You do. Before you open your eyes, before you put your feet on the ground, you feel good. You in your mind, you don't age. Then you get up and you walk into the bathroom and you put a shirt on and you look in the mirror and you're like, oh gosh, this is what life has dealt me so far. I've still got half of it to go. Wow. All right. We'll see what happens. Love you more. Hey, B, what's your favorite memory as a child? I kind of already gave that. Mine is being all-time hiker and my older brother's backyard football games. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, we had in our neighborhood growing up, we had something called the Island. It was like a little patch of grass and there were houses around it. And we played a lot of football and games on that when I was really little, like 5th, 6th, 7th grade. And got a little older, not so much, but yeah. I don't know, man. I have a very good memory. Like, it's not that I can't think of things from childhood. It's trying to pick a favorite. I have a very good memory. And I don't have like some miserable childhood experience. I feel like I had a pretty good childhood experience. Everybody could find something they would have done differently or improved, but I don't have any. Maybe some regrets along the way, but yeah. Baron, what's your dream concert lineup? Any era, any artist, opener, headline act? Who you picking to perform? Baron. I would have loved for Jim Croce to have been alive long enough for me to see him. I don't know that I have a video of a concert of his, Jim Croce live or something. It's actually in my closet. No one makes DVD players anymore, so I can't watch it, but it's in there. It's in there. I think it's called Alive. Have you seen him or something like that? I would have loved to seen him live. I got to see Buffett several times, and I love Jimmy Buffett, and I love his shows. He's fun. He's engaging. He's a showman. I've never seen like Metallica or Guns N' Roses. I don't know that I want to see Guns N' Roses anymore. Axl Rose doesn't look healthy. Metallica still looks like they rock. They actually look better now than they did 15 years ago. That would be a cool concert to go to. Maybe Dave Matthews in his prime, and I'm not even the biggest Dave Matthews fan, but what a show. I've been to a show, and he just puts on such a performance. I'll tell you a concert that surprised me recently. I went with my daughter a couple years ago to a Zach Bryan concert. I was not a Zach Bryan fan when I went. I came out a Zach Bryan fan. That guy's a showman, too. He's a showman's showman. That was a fun show. If you ever get a chance to see him, you should take advantage of it, even if you don't like him. It's a fun show. Fun show. Can we do some polls? I guess. What do we want to talk about? If I can think of one, I'll come up with one. In an abstract sense, what do you think the people in Charlie Kirk's inner circle that need to believe TR is the shooter have to lose? What's happening that won't allow them to process refuting evidence? What I think they have to lose, their freedom, their wealth, their notoriety, their good name, their access to power. I mean, they've got everything to lose. What's happening that won't allow them to process refuting it? Yeah, that. that. What is one unanswered question in this case you think investigators absolutely have to answer before anyone can confidently say they know what happened? Well, I would say how he died, but we have a medical examiner's report. The question is, can it be trusted? I don't know that, I got to know more about who was in the room and how it was done and look at some pictures and make sure they weren't fiddled with and everything else. And I don't think we're going to get any access to that. And so that's going to be disturbing to me, to just have to rely on a system that might have conspired to kill him to tell you they didn't kill him. I don't know how I feel about that. I would love to have access to all that, to crowdsource the images and say, does anybody see anything weird here? Any evidence that these were AI generated or any evidence that these were altered in some way? I would love to see that. But I don't think we will. With respect to Tyler, it'd be interesting to see if they can actually put him on campus, like actually put him on campus, not some blurry image that's squished, or really him. If there's no plane at the Pentagon, then where is AA Flight 77 and the people on board? I don't know. I've heard both sides of this. I've heard the people who swear up and down they watched the plane fly into it. I'm very curious why there's no surveillance image available of this occurrence. It's one of the most surveilled cities on Earth. You would think there would be 50 or 100 maybe cameras that captured this, and we don't see any. That's always concerned me. We got all these images of the plane flying into New York. We got all these, we have a total lack of imagery of the plane flying into the Pentagon. But we do have people that say they saw it, and that has to be considered. That's an eyewitness. It's evidence. But we also have people who swear you can't fly a plane that low for that long. I don't know. What are your thoughts on cigars? Not a fan. I don't like the way they smell. I don't like that they somehow are some symbol of manhood. I get the nicotine aspect of it. Trust me, I get that. But I don't understand why people who don't have a nicotine habit like fire up a cigar and puff on it, and they're like, on a podcast they're holding a cigar like it makes them manly. I'm like, get some out, brother. No one wants to see that. It's offensive. First question. Did you get that nice haircut and trim up that beard because you're going on Rogan? Oh, no. I didn't know if you guys would notice I got a hair. I did get a haircut and trimmed up my beard. I would have gotten the haircut anyway. So I'm not telling you where I'm going this weekend. Or if I'm going anywhere. I might just be staying home. How does being a lawyer affect your parenting style? I give everybody one appeal. They get an appeal by right. But I don't want to hear it. Once the appellate court has ruled, it's over. If I tell you to go to bed and you say, but, and then, okay, what is it? It's ninth inning of the Braves game. Okay, finish the game and then go to bed. You got your appeal. You won. I modified my order. But none of this, but judge. No. There's no, I am the final court of appeal. You get one appeal. Who the heck we supposed to watch? Any suggestions? Oh man, yeah. Suggestions out the yin yang. I don't know. Danks, Bays, Trigger Smart, Zach Costello, Coach Colin, Jesse, Valhalla, Heavy Duty Country. Gosh, there's so many. I mean, there's lots of good content out there. Lots of good content out there. I know I've forgotten somebody. I don't want to forget anybody. Mr. Let Go. I like Mr. Let Go. Yeah, I've gotten into his stuff.
Alley Top Files.
Alley Top Files. Dee got a podcast.
Yeah, Dee had a good one last night or a couple days ago.
Nissy may put something out this week.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many good ones. So many good ones. Go find somebody. Can you give me an outline on how to pray? Repent specifically, please. I've never done it before. Reading scripture, but not sure if I can trust the churches. Hence, here since Ian, Christ is King indeed. How to pray. I don't know. I'm not an out loud prayer much. I mean, I'll do it a little bit with family, but I'm not one of these people that likes to pray out loud in public. But, if you're repenting, what I like to say is, God, I'm so sorry for this. I want to put it out of my memory. I want to have no memory of it. Oh, I hit the button. I didn't mean to. I want to have no memory of it. I want to completely turn from it. I want to be totally done with it. Turn my heart and my mind so completely I can't even remember. But repentance is turning. Like, it's not just praying a prayer. It's changing your life and going the other direction. Like, if you are stealing from work, repentance isn't just feeling bad for it, then going and grabbing a $5 bill out of the cash register the next week. That's not repentance. Repentance is give the money back and turn away. Go away. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. So I don't know if I can give you an outline on how to pray. Who do you like to see run for president in 2028? Ooh. Several people. I think Thomas Massey would do a good job. I think Tucker would do a good job, but I don't know that he'll do it. I think Joe Kent would do a good job. I don't know if he has any interest in running for president, but gosh, I don't know, man. I know who I don't want to. I don't want to see Lion Ted Cruz. I don't want to see, Psycho Marco. I don't want to see, frankly, right now, I don't want to see JD Vance. Maybe he could surprise me on the upside, but right now I'm not in. Sorry, JD, not in. You're gonna have to stop the business. You know what business I'm talking about. You got to stop it. That's a good question. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens. Daisy, did you get your Lexus?
This is turning into the funniest, storyline. No, I have not. I am actively working on it, and I do appreciate everyone's support. in this endeavor of mine. Which model do I like? In a dream world, if I could just pick, I would get a GX, which is like the SUV, or an LS.
I'm looking it up. I have no idea what it is. Lexus
but some
GX.
people were like, I put it out there. It was just kind of a joke at first. I mean, I do obviously want a brand new Lexus, but it was just kind of a joke. Yeah, I know. It's just a debate, Baron. All we have to do is get you booked for a debate, put it in the contract, and then we have it.
They're $90,000.
Yeah.
Someone was like, "What car is this?"
Someone said the new ones have AI. I was like, never mind. Never mind.
What's the other Lexus? Maybe it's not 90. What's the other one?
It's not. It's a sedan. It's an LS.
LS.
But like, really, I don't really want to.
It's 80 grand. Golly.
It's the nicer of the sedans. No, but thank you, Green.
Do they make an entry level model?
Yeah, they do. It's the ES.
Okay. How much is that?
I mean, go ahead and look it up.
I'm
it's
going
probably
to, trust me.
Maybe what, 50?
Starting at 48,895.
See, that's a little, yeah, but this is a dream world. So I'm going GX or go home.
Golly.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Have you considered a 1989 Ford F-250 with 385,000 miles on it? That's crazy. Now that Diligent has given receipts to a lawyer, what will be the lawyer's next step? Give it to defense? No idea. No idea. I think that was the plan. Are you and Candace focusing mainly on proving Tyler Robinson's innocence rather than proving it was the government drones? All right. The drone thing has gotten out of control. Show me evidence of a drone there that day that is capable of killing Charlie Kirk, and I am all ears. Short of that, we got to stop talking about the drones. I mean, there are weird images on the screen. Can any of them kill Charlie Kirk? If so, let's talk about it. But don't tell me there's some mysterious possibility of a drone in another county that, I mean, he may have been shot with a space laser for all we know. I mean, that's as likely to me.
Also, the drones, the ones, just for everyone to keep in mind, they're big. The ones that actually hold guns and or drop bombs.
Yeah, they
like
have to
I
be
know
bigger
that
than a
there's
gun.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I know that
Because
there's
you have
small,
the gun and you have the drone.
Exactly. They're huge, guys. If you actually look them up,
Axiomatically, it has to be larger.
It's like the size of Tilly, like a small dog.
Well, that'd be a beautiful thing to see in the air.
Okay, maybe not.
Can
Tilly.
you imagine her? She'd be excited. Tail just wagging.
Just rifle.
Yeah. Barking. Oh, that might call Lance Twiggs if I start barking. Lance, don't call in. So is it mainly proving Tyler? No, I'm trying to answer who killed Charlie Kirk, how, and why. That's what I'm trying to answer. And as part of that, I've got to say necessarily, I don't think it was Tyler Robinson. I don't think the case makes sense. So that means all three issues are still live. It's not one or the other. It's not even on proving Tyler's innocence. But if in order to get to who did it, we have to say who didn't do it. Like, I didn't do it, so let's rule me out. Let's rule everything out but I'm not a serious consideration, but let's rule everybody out. And then let's see who's left, and let's talk about, did they have anything to do with it? I think we can rule out Zimbabwe. I don't think Zimbabwe had anything to do with it. So we rule them out. Anybody else? I mean, you just go down the list, and eventually we'll get a small group of people here. And the question is, can we throw Tyler into the ruled out list? I think right now you can. We'll see. We'll see what the evidence shows. But as far as the drones, you have to show me what kind of drone is capable of killing Charlie Kirk, first. Second, evidence that it was there. Evidence that it was there. And that's where it's fallen short. Question, do you think Tyler Robinson or Judge Tony Graff know who you and Candace are? Tyler, probably not. Judge Graff, I mean, I'm sure he knows who Candace is because she's famous. Probably knew who she was before the case. But me, I doubt it. I don't know. Maybe. Diligent Denizen, what's going on inside Scoop? Love you, my B. Jesus loves you too. I know what I saw on X that he was putting stuff together. And I honestly don't know much more than that. We talked very briefly about it. What is your hope for Charlie Kirk case? Do you believe true justice can and will be served? Do you think we'll ever know what corruption got to Trump? Why he shifted so hard against his supporters? I don't know if we'll know the answer to that, but I know Leah Files had a really good post today about the crypto company that's put into place, I guess. I don't know. And the new regulations and laws and people in different positions. It was really good. It was really good. Do I think, what is my hope? My hope is we figure out who killed Charlie Kirk, how, and why. Do I ever believe we'll know? I don't know, because we still don't know it about Kennedy, John F. Kennedy. So I don't know. Do you think sports are rigged? A lot of them. Yeah. Bob Knight in the 90s said if people knew how much gambling affected sports, people would stop watching. That was 30 years ago. You think it's gotten less impactful? No. Not when every single Tom, Dick, and Harry can grab a phone and place a wager on a game. I don't think it's remotely less impactful. And that includes referees. Leagues obviously have huge monetary motivations for certain matchups. And so, like, if you're a small market team, the Indiana Pacers, my favorite NBA team, they're going to have to really win a series to win because the league is not looking for the Indianapolis market. I can assure you, they're looking for Chicago or New York. That is a much bigger market to watch a finals. Can you recommend any resources to introduce my teens to Electric University? I answered that earlier. Have any plans to sub in for Candace during maternity leave? And do you believe Mitch has photos of EK at some fort? I'll answer the first one. I'll let you ask Mitch the second one. Do I have any plans to sub in for Candace during maternity leave? If asked, I would do it. Do you have any favorite book written by the saints that shook you? For me so far is Ascetical Experiences by St. Ignatius Bryanchaninov. Saints that shook me. Books by saints that shook me. I mean, it's not a cop-out, but Confessions was really good if you've never read it. From Augustine is really good. And it gives you a lot of insight into his mindset before he became a believer. What's your favorite part of being a grandfather? You get to hand them back. You got to hand them back when they start crying. You go, oh, here, it's yours. That's the best part. No, the best part is just the joy of a new life and realizing that it's just going on down the line. There's this drive inside humanity to reproduce. There's a drive inside ants to reproduce. There's a drive inside grasshoppers to reproduce. There's a drive inside birds to reproduce. And there's a drive inside humans to reproduce. I don't like this child-free movement. I think it's, I think it's destructive. It's one thing if you are child-free and you just like, hey, it didn't work out for me. The life didn't work out where I could have kids. Either didn't find the right person or we were not fertile. That happens. But to set out at like 22 and say, I'm too selfish to have kids, I would rather spend all my money on me, is a very disordered way of thinking, in my opinion. I don't think people should set out with that thought. There's some people that are born in a way they can't have kids, or they want to have kids and they just never find the right person. That happens. Or some people that want to have kids, but they say, I want to give it up for something greater. I'm going to do something better. But that better be serving somebody else. Because if it's serving yourself, that's not better. That's way worse. Way worse. It might step on toes, but guys, that's where I am. Question, Baron, how do we teach children curiosity? What things can we do to help encourage it? What activities can we do? Let them be bored. Stop putting devices in their hands at all ages. Stop, if a 2-year-old is at a restaurant with a device in their hands or in a car with a device in their hands, you are not instilling curiosity. You are damaging their brain. Occasionally, that's fine. Hour here or there, great. I think there can even be benefit to that and some small scale usage. But there's some people, kids are never bored. Like they just, like my kids ask me all the time, can we turn the TV on? No, go do something. Go play. Go invent something. Go create something. Go wonder about something. Go look out the window and look at those clouds go by and ask what that means. You know, I think that's the number one way you can instill curiosity in your children. Let them be bored. You don't have to fill every second of their life. You know, let them play rec ball and when they're 8 years old. No, there are no scouts for the Major League Yankees at your 7-year-old kid's travel ball team. But now he's not bored for the weekend. Well, maybe he should have been. Maybe he should have been. Question to Baron, do you believe alien life exists? Well, it depends on what you mean by alien. You mean non-human life that exists? Yes. Non-human intelligent life? I do, actually. Is that interdimensional? Is it spiritual? Is it... I don't believe there are living beings on some other planet that are jetting in and out of here, if that's what you're asking. No, I don't believe in that. But do I believe there's life potentially even on Earth that we're not aware of? Yeah, I do, actually. Whether that's a spiritual being or some interdimensional being or some even earthbound being that lives in existence and they don't want us to see them. And they know how to avoid detection. Yeah, I think that exists. Absolutely. How did Daisy get her job with you? Curiosity. I think I've answered this. She was an emailer that was particularly good, and had some really good tips and really good research. And I felt bad just relying on her all the time. So I was like, let me pay you. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, no, not really. That's what it was. But also, I just want to answer because a lot of people have been sending it, and I'll just address it. People were asking if I had a job previously that like set me up for what I do with you now. No, it's just curiosity. It's nothing to do with, I mean, I am very good on the computer and I know how to, Google things and search for things and, county clerks and stuff like that. But my previous job was just, I've been an executive assistant for a few different like small business owners and that's it. So no, I wasn't like a PI. I didn't, I never had any like government contracts or anything like that. So I just didn't want people to waste their questions asking them over and over. I saw them. I didn't have any researcher jobs before this. So
I picture you with a giant magnifying glass.
yeah. The dog in particular.
Yeah, a dog with a magnifying glass.
With a monocle.
Mm-hmm. Monocles should come back in style. Those are dope. What's your opinion on the gentle giant, the manatee? I'm fine with them. They've never caused me any problems. Being Daisy, what fact about yourself took the longest to understand or accept? That I talk too much. That was hard. That was a hard lesson.
I think mine is. That's funny. I thought this was a good question.
Sad.
I think mine was that probably two things. One thing, I used to be really bad about interrupting people. My last job, my old boss, that was just something that he really did not like about people. So once I realized that, I would kind of catch it. So I'm very cognizant of trying to appropriately speak like in dead air, and not talk over somebody. But something else that I think that took me like long to accept was that, and people used to say this all the time, like I guess when I talk to people, I sometimes just assume that they already know or that they should know something, and it can come off as rude or like snotty, and I don't ever want to be that person. So I pulled this. I thought it was a good question. I think it's important for people to, if somebody's pointed out a bad habit that you have, or if you've noticed a bad habit that you have, I think it's good to, we all have them. I think it's good to be cognizant and aware of them. That's it.
Yeah. I talk too much, and I'm aware of it. And I'll get in a group, or I'll get with somebody, and I'll really like, I haven't taken a breath in 4 minutes. Poor person's
It's
probably
okay.
bored to
I like
tears.
to yap too, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Why didn't they check for gunshot residue? You don't know that they didn't. Thank you and Daisy for all you do. There's a theory that Trump was a Trojan horse to water down the Tea Party movement and take it from James Trafficant. What do you think? Take it from James Trafficant? I don't think was James Trafficant a leader of the Tea Party movement? Was he even alive? Didn't he die? Hold on. James Trafficant. Yeah, he died in 2014. I don't think Trump was sent to be president in 2016 to take away James Trafficant. I don't know. So I'm going to disregard the James Trafficant part of it. Trump as a Trojan horse makes more sense in the 2.0 than it did in 1.0. I'll be honest with you. Can you give us a tour of your office? We see it every night and often wonder what things are that you can see. So it's really a filing cabinet. It looks fancy, but I in my old job, I had to have a locked safe in order to, because we dealt with medical records. And for some reason, the federal government sends medical records on a thumb drive, or they did back then. So I got a locked safe that I can put stuff in there that can be safe. These are just, like that's the YouTube 100,000 subscriber thing. That's my CrossFit L1 certificate. There's resolutions from the city and the state of Alabama on recognizing things. They're honorary things. State of Tennessee law license, Florida oath, Indiana diploma from law school. That's my admission to the Florida bar. Right above that is the Alabama bar. Above that's Tennessee bar. The word allegedly, lamp, books. Teddy Roosevelt. You used to be able to see him before I got a new camera. Now you can't. Andrew Jackson. Joe McCarthy. Senator Joe McCarthy, American hero. I love that man. John Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Booker T. Washington, Rosa Parks. And then just some stuff that some viewers have given me. I'll pull this down. There's just some stuff some viewers have given me. You can't really see it all that well, but just, some of the stuff makes the back set. So that's shown up in the P.O. box. Other than that, man, just screens everywhere. Lots of screens, lots of monitors. Just, a Stream Deck, a soundboard, computer, camera, some studio lighting, an air filter, Tennessee flag, an American flag, and that's it. That's my office. Well, this wall is my personal private wall. Not this wall here. Hold on. Not this wall here. This wall is personal private. I'm not going to share that wall. But that's like my personal stuff over here. But yeah, thank you. Question: what are other major stories you want to cover? I'll cover anything that's interesting to me. I don't have anything in particular that I'm just dying to get to. But I do have a lot of interest in some of the things that have happened in the past, and things always come up, and I will be interested in covering stuff with as much vigor as I've covered this. Whatever it is. So I don't know that I have a particular I have to cover this story. I am wanting to get my boys baptized in the Catholic Church, but struggling on how to choose their godparents. Any advice? No. I mean, I have this is funny. I have a note in my notes on my phone on who all I am godparents to and who all my kids' godparents are. I don't know where it is. There, it's in here somewhere. I've got my godparent note, and I add to it as I get honored to be asked to be people's godparents, and it gives me a list to pray for kids, and if my kids ever ask who their godparents are, I have it right here. It's long. It's extensive. There are a lot of names on there. And I notice Mrs. Coleman has been asked more than your humble host, so I don't hold it against her. How to choose them? I don't know. Just choose people you respect and like and would want to be praying for your kids quite a bit. Do you really think Tucker and Candace aren't controlled opposition? No, I really don't think they are. When I think of controlled opposition, I think more of, let me give an example. Well, I don't want to give an example. I don't want to do that. I'm not here to name names like that. But no, I don't think of Tucker and Candace as controlled opposition. That's not what comes to mind when I think of it. I think more like Ben Shapiro is controlled opposition to the left. I don't think he's opposition to the left. Did anything from Joseph Scott Morgan or Julian Dory's podcast surprise you or change your mind? Sure. I went in there very convinced that the timeline of the autopsy was just entirely too fast, and now I think it was just cutting it really close. I went in there thinking more people probably were in the room than ended up being in the room. Like I thought there would be a whole lot of people, and I went into the podcast not with Julian as much, but with Joseph Scott Morgan. I actually convinced they would do a less thorough job and it be considered adequate. He actually went a step beyond what I would have considered adequate. Like at a jury, if they'd have told me we did X, Y, and Z, I'd have been like, yeah, that's about right. No, like he went way above and said, no. If they didn't do this, that's not adequate. If they didn't do this, it's not adequate. This would fall below the standard. This is incorrect. And so he actually changed my mind on that as well, like more towards my way of thinking. I mean, more towards things that would help sort of my way of thinking about it. So yeah, good question. What do you know about CERN? Very little. Only that I don't like it, and I don't. I don't know. I think every time they fire it up, weird things happen, and I do think it's partially responsible for the pole shift that's coming, and that's happening. The geographic north. The magnetic North Pole moving seems to correspond a little bit with when they fire that thing up. It's like they're dragging it their way. Baron, what is your opinion on the 3 women running for governor of Tennessee? The guy I voted for lost the primary to Marsha Blackburn. I've known Marsha Blackburn since I was a kid. I used to play baseball and basketball with her son. So we've known her family forever. Actually saw her at dinner when I was in law school, or saw her at lunch maybe when I was in law school, and sat down and chatted with them for a little bit. She was in Congress at the time, not in the Senate. She was in the House, not the Senate. But yeah, I don't have strong opinions on it. I've always wondered where they correct all the clocks in the world. I never believed that for the past 2,000 years that 24 hours in a day and 365 days could be so perfect. Appreciate thoughts. It's not. That's why we have leap years and leap years where we skip leap years. You know, like we do every 4 years, except on the 100th year, we don't leap year. Except on the 1,000th year, we do leap year. So like we had a leap year in 2000, but we didn't in 1900, 1800, 1700, 1600. And all that is to correct for the fact that it's not 365 days that we go around. It's 364 and 3/4 roughly, or maybe 364 and 1/4, I think actually. And so we add in leap years where we add an extra day on February 29th. Now, my thought on that is, I think we used to have a 360-day calendar because all the major religions and all the major world governments at the time all operated on a 360-year calendar. And then, I don't know, 1,400 years ago, they all decided all at once, all over the world, you know what we should do? We should add 5 days. Why did you all do that at the same time? That doesn't make sense. Plus, we have 360 degrees in a circle and in a triangle, so forth and so on. 180 in a triangle. So I think there's something to that. But I don't think 365 days is perfect because it's not. It's not perfect. Yeah, that's all I've got. It's just like they tell us like 7,000 years ago, every major area of the world all of a sudden decided we should farm all at once. Yeah, we should farm. We have no contact with these other people, but we're all going to start farming at the same time. Yeah, we should all farm. Maybe something changed and they had to farm. What's your favorite brand of pocket knife? Spyderco. It's the hardest steel. I mean, they just don't lose their sharpness. I would show you mine that I have with me today, but YouTube's weird about showing weapons on screen. But you can't beat a good Spyderco knife, and they're not terribly expensive. A couple $100, and you've got about the best knife you can get for the money. Not an advertiser. Would love for them to be an advertiser, but not an advertiser. Out of all the organized religions, why did you choose Catholicism? Because I came to believe it was accurate. I came to believe it was true. If I was convinced something else was true, I would switch. I didn't pick it. It picked me. I went through a period I did not grow up Christian, or I did not grow up a believer, I guess we'll say. The only time I prayed in my life as a child that I remember was I was in a car with a friend of mine. I'm not going to name him, but he was reckless. And we were in a Corvette, his parents' Corvette, and he was getting on Interstate 65 right at Moore's Lane, and it's a big loop before you get on. It's like a 3/4 of a circle before you get on 65 going north. And I looked over, and he was doing like 110 on that circle, and I thought, oh, we're going to die. We're going to die. And then he gets on the interstate and just hammers it. And cars are passing. I mean, we're passing cars like they're stopped. And I started praying, and I'd never prayed in my life. And I was like, I don't know if you're real. I don't know if there's anything out there. But if so, can you get this car slowed down and off the next exit and get me home safely, please? And it worked, because here I am. And I thought, oh, okay, that was interesting. And I didn't pray again for years after that. And then I met my now wife, and she introduced me to some guy named Jim Brinkerhoff, who's now passed away, and he was a brilliant man. And he was a member of the Church of Christ. And he sat down with me over the course of a long time, like a couple hours a day twice a week for weeks, like 8 weeks. So, I mean, you're talking lots and lots of time. And gave me like a systematic presentation of religion, starting with, does God exist? And he gets me to, okay, God probably exists. You're right, actually, now that I think about it. Okay, well, if God exists, what would he expect of us? Okay, I guess he would expect us to behave a certain way, wouldn't he? Okay, well, if he expects us to behave a certain way and we can't, then what? Well, I guess he would need to rectify that somehow. Okay, well, if the sacrifices didn't work, then what? Well, okay, well, so he brings me up to Christianity, and I'm like, yes, I'm in. I'll accept this. I'll allow this. I'm in. Now what? And so that was kind of it. And I kept reading because I was very curious. And I kept reading. I read all the foundational documents of the Church of Christ, and I thought, well, I'm not really convinced this is it. So what else is out there? So I just kept reading and reading and reading. And I ended up in the ante-Nicene Fathers, like the church fathers before the Council of Nicaea. And I started looking, and I'm like, man, this kind of looks Catholic, if we're being honest. And I kept reading and reading, and all roads kept leading to Rome. I got introduced to a guy. I was working at a coffee shop. The manager was Catholic. He gave me some tapes, cassette tapes. That's how long ago this was. He gave me some cassette tapes. He's like, you should listen to these. And, all right. There's some Catholic theologian, Scott Hahn. And I was listening to his tapes. I thought, man, this stuff really makes a lot of sense, but I don't want to be Catholic, so they're weird. But it planted that seed in the back of my head that would not get out. And so that was probably 5-6 years after that is when I had finally read enough and thought enough. I bought a copy of the Catechism, read it. And I thought, man, it's just a really systematic explanation for the faith, and I think it's right. So I became Catholic. If I came to believe something else was true, I would do that. Like I don't think you should ignore your conscience just because grandma went to that church. I mean, maybe grandma was right, but if you come to believe she's not, maybe you should consider something else. Like if I was convinced Buddha was right because he sat under a tree, I'd be Buddhist, but I'm not convinced. It was
Somebody
a friend,
said
not your
it was
sister.
A friend driving, not your sister.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
made me
yeah.
laugh 'cause
That's actually true. It was a friend. My sister knew that friend, but it was a friend. It was not my sister. Though I've had those same thoughts with my sister.
Do you know where to find your last message?
Where I just was?
Yeah. Okay.
What are your thoughts and feelings on the genocide in Palestine and Lebanon, and how will it impact the United States? I oppose all genocide, no matter where it takes place. I think genocide is always wrong. That got Candace in a lot of trouble for saying that, but I believe that. I'm a big fan. I don't think you should genocide tribal groups in Africa, and I don't think you should genocide people in other parts of the world either. How will it impact the U.S.? I think it already has. The support for our greatest ally has plummeted in the last 2 years, 2.5 years. We're coming up on 3 years anniversary of that. And there's, without getting too deeply into it, I just don't think a lot of people look at what's happened and think it's right. And I think it's costing them a lot of support. And I think if that support continues to erode, I think it'll have real consequences here with domestic policies. How old do you think the universe, humanity, Earth is? 6 to 10,000 years, or up to 13.99 billion? Would it surprise? This is not a cop out, but would it surprise you to believe they're both right? I believe they're both right, and more. And here's what I mean by that. Time is relative. Time is relative. So a day at the speed at which we're currently traveling is not a day at the speed at which we may have once traveled. For example, if let's accept the Big Bang just for the hypothesis that I'm going to give you here. And at the speed at which everything is ejected out of the Big Bang, you have a light, and it's flashing one time every second. And now you look at that light from where we are now, and you could look back. It's once every 33,000 years. That's a lot. That's relativity of time. Time is a concept. It's not a constant. Now, this totally goes against my time opening, but what that time opening was time relative to where we are now. But time is absolutely relative. And so is it 6,000 years? Is it 10,000 years? Is it 1 million? Is it 1 billion? Is it 14 billion? Yes, and it's all of it. It's all of it. Time absolutely is relative. What conspiracy theory would people assume you believe, but you really don't, and why? Sandy Hook. I think something happened that was not what we were told, but I don't believe in the whole of the conspiracy theory. I think people probably would assume I would accept that whole cloth, and I don't. So that's kind of one, but that's not really one I'm totally in opposition of. What's a conspiracy theory I just don't believe in? I think people would assume I believe in aliens living outside of this earth, and I don't. Like tangible, three-dimensional, intelligent life transporting from other worlds. I'm not a believer in that. I don't believe in that. What question would you ask EF, Beepster, Boyer, and TR if they had to answer honestly and you had the chance to do so? Well, obviously, I would ask. So this is interesting because Boyer, I go back and forth on. I really go back and forth on him. Erica, I don't really go back and forth on because I don't believe her. I think she's a fundamentally dishonest person. That's not to say I believe she killed her husband or had him killed or knew she was going to have him killed, but it leads me to believe that I can't trust what she says. Does that make sense? Like what she utters is not evidence to me, because when you try a case, one of the jury instructions inevitably the judge gives is it's up to you to determine the veracity of the witness, and if you don't believe, if you believe the witness has lied to you, you're free to disregard everything that witness has said. There'll be some form of that jury instruction given at nearly every trial. And that's kind of how I am with Erica. Like I so much of her story is a fantasy fairy tale. Like I would think she wanted it to be true, but it's not. That I'm free to disregard everything she says. So I don't believe her. But I would love to know where she was at 12:23 on September 10th. Likewise, I would love to know where Andrew Colvette was at 12:23 on September 10th. Not that I think they were in Utah. Not that I think they were in some command center calling orders. But I just don't believe their story about where they are. And because I find them both fundamentally dishonest people, I'm free to disregard everything they say. Beepster, I'm going to pass on. I'm not asking him anything. I don't commune with demonic people. Boyer, if he had to tell me the truth, why'd you set Erica up with Charlie? And Tyler, if he had to tell me the truth, how'd you end up in Orem? How'd you end up in Orem? I think he was there. How did you end up in Orem? Do you think social media has harmed humanity? Yes, and helped humanity, believe it or not. I think it has both. I think it's like alcohol. Like, we use it as a sacrament, but you can also harm yourself with it. I think it's both helped and harmed humanity. I think it's helped humanity immeasurably stay connected. It's created, it's probably saved lives where people felt like they were too alone to continue on, and they heard from an old friend from high school and they started reminiscing, and whatever. Someone's found love on social media, right? They found love and it's completed their life, and they now have a family and children, and I think there's great benefits to it. But I do think it's harmed humanity, particularly the anonymity. I think the anonymity has harmed humanity. That's not to say there's been this ongoing debate on X and these spaces the last few weeks about whether you should be anonymous on social media. And I think to the extent you can behave yourself, I'm fine with it. But so many people abuse it. And I'm not fine with people abusing their anonymity on social media. Like, if you're going to be anonymous, behave. You can be funny. You can engage in conversations. You can speculate. You can do all this stuff. But if you're going to be a savage, nasty, horrific human being and cause people, all this heartache and great harm, say it with your chest. Put your name on the line. Put your face on the line. Let me see who you are. You want to say those things about me? Tell me who you are. I want to evaluate you. And I think there's something to that. And obviously, it's harmed children immeasurably. Like, there's almost no benefit I can see to young children. 13 to 18 years old on social media has created a level of vanity and bullying that humanity is not designed for. What are your thoughts about some saying that Candace is compromised? Not saying I agree, but I question everyone and everything. I also question everyone and everything. I don't believe she's compromised. I mean, on what? Because she won't cover a certain topic? Maybe she has no interest in it. Maybe she doesn't find it credible enough to discuss. I'm that way on several issues. Am I compromised because I won't seriously consider the palm gun theory? No. Am I compromised because I haven't done shows on drones? No, I'm not. I haven't seen evidence that would prompt me to do shows on drones. Show me a drone capable of killing Charlie Kirk that was there. Show me. Show me evidence it was there. Even if you can't show me it was there, show me evidence it was there. And I know there was a plane that allegedly has the capacity to deploy those types of drones, but did it? Show me evidence, and I'll be happy to start going down that trail. If you had to explain to someone who knows nothing about the case your reasons for holding the position you do, how do you do that? What are the top reasons you lean in on? That's not a 30-06 wound to his neck. It's just not. It's just not. So let's stop acting like it is. Nobody believed it initially. Everybody, Gary thought, it had to be body armor. Stephen Gardner thought, it must have been a lower caliber round from a different location. Chris Martinson, it must have been a lower caliber round from a different location. Nobody bought the 30-06 story. Nobody bought it. And everybody has stopped not buying it, double negative. And now they're just all in, like, evidence is overwhelming. Well, nothing changed. Nothing changed. So I would start there. That's how I start. This is my initial reason. That's not a 30-06. And the only thing they're saying that could have killed him is a 30-06. So we know they're not right. Now, what happened? What happened? That's where I'd start. I'm not going to go through the whole case. I've been doing it for 11 months. Did you listen to boy bands, Backstreet, New Kids, NSYNC? You seem to know a lot of music. What got you into that? Music was always in the background growing up. I mean, my dad, when I was really little, would get ready to go to work with music on. My mom listened to music in the house. Still listens to music in the house. My wife and I have always listened to music in the house. Like we've gone through different phases where we listen to different bands or different type of people or different, back when radio stations were a thing, but at different radio stations. But music's always just been kind of in the background of my life. Boy bands, would it shock you to know the very first concert I went to, the opening act was New Kids on the Block? I was like in second or third grade. They were opening for some act most of you have never even heard of or have forgotten existed, but that was the opening act to a concert I went to long time ago. Did I ever listen to boy bands? I mean, they were pop culture. You couldn't avoid them. I'm familiar with the Backstreet songs. I never owned an album, never intentionally listened to them. NSYNC, same thing. Very familiar with their music, but never set out to listen to them. New Kids was different because that was when I was really young and you just listen to whatever your family's listening to, and they were listening to New Kids on the Block. So I went to a New Kids on the Block show at MTSU in Murfreesboro in fourth grade with my family. You know, the family went, so I went. Do you think we will ever hear from TR himself? If he goes to trial, I expect you would probably hear from him. I would think you would. But I can't say that because I don't know everything their lawyers know. Maybe it's a bad idea. What's your favorite thing Mrs. Coleman cooks for you? I really like when she makes this coconut curry chicken. I really like it. I forget what she calls it. She made a chicken vindaloo the other night I fell in love with. It was super spicy. I took a bite and I was like, oh, did you add something else to this? Holy mackerel. She's good at that. Again, her chicken thighs are to die for. And I say all this as someone who does not like chicken. I don't prefer chicken. I will never order chicken in a restaurant. I don't like chicken. But Mrs. Coleman has figured out a way to flavor chicken enough that I don't taste the chicken. And that's the key to good chicken is you can't taste the chicken. If you can taste the chicken, it sucks. But if you can't taste the chicken, it's not bad. Just, it's a protein delivery mechanism. Yeah, probably that. If I had to go to my favorite, probably that. She makes this other really good, like, I don't know, it's kind of like a deconstructed lasagna, but it's got cream cheese in it. And woo, excellent. What point does healthy skepticism become its own form of certainty? And how do you personally know when you've crossed the line while investigating this case? I don't know that I understand your question. Healthy skepticism, if you're saying you're skeptical for the purpose of being skeptical, so therefore you're going to be skeptical of everything and everyone, I think that's unhealthy, and I don't know what that point is. I don't know that I've crossed that line, so I don't know how I would know that I've crossed that line. I'm one of the few people on my side that's still like, well, I mean, Tyler could have done it, but you're going to have to prove it. I don't think he did, but you're going to have to prove it if he did. Like, I need him on that roof. What's your take on caveman and or evolution? I've been really thinking about this lately. What were they? I know you have a theory. I'm sifting through a few. Love you, my bee. Oh, I love this one. This is a great question. So when I'm coming to the faith, keep in mind I'd never read the Bible, knew very little about it. When I was young, I thought Jesus was born in Italy. Vatican's in Rome. Why not? Right? So that's where I came from. So I'm reading the Bible for the first time. And I noticed very early on, I noticed something very odd. Adam and Eve have Cain and Abel. Cain kills Abel, gets cast out, and he goes to hang out with other people. Where the hell these other people come from? He goes to find a wife in another land. Who the hell are these people? And how do you reconcile that with God creating man? Well, then you look and you say, well, there were Neanderthals, there were Denisovans, there were all these other Homo erectus and all these other things that came along the way, allegedly. And I think that we're dealing with something like that there were other groups that the Bible was distinguishing from human. Like God created man. Well, we're man, and these other groups might have been sexually compatible. They might have even been civilized and advanced, maybe more or less advanced than we are now, but they weren't man. They weren't God's favored creation. They weren't the pinnacle of creation. And man has survived, and those other groups have not. Now, I think little inbreeding pieces of them may have survived in us, some people more than others. There was one study I was looking at, the more Neanderthal DNA you had, the higher IQ you had. Well, maybe these Neanderthals were very smart. I don't know. We like to look at them as like knuckle draggers, but maybe they were brilliant. And then we get to the thing like was found in Peru, which I am a believer in, by the way. This three-toed, three-fingered, large-skulled, looks like an alien, but it's on Earth. and it's mummified, and they do an MRI, and it's got really intricate bone patterns. Like it does not look to be fake at all. I don't know how you would fake something like that. It's got depth, it's got precision, it's got functionality. Like it's got the types of bones in the hand you would need to work. No one faked that 1,000 years ago and then buried it. You know, I just don't think so. And so I look at that and say, well, obviously that was alive. Probably. I mean, it seems more likely than not that it was alive. What was that? Where are the rest of them? So I don't know. I mean, that's kind of my theory, that there were other people groups. They just weren't God's favored creation. They weren't God's finished pinnacle. That's man. Not man as opposed to woman, but human. Does Mrs. C call you by George or Baron? Baron. Yeah, the only people who've ever called me George were either at work or school. Like some classes, I went by George just because I didn't want to correct the teacher. Where I worked last, I went by George. It's a little weird because I still talk to people from there and they still call me George. And I'm like, I haven't been George in a year. Can you stop it with the George business?
Did your parents pick Baron to call you, or was it something that you wanted when you were younger?
No, I was originally going to be GB.
Oh gosh.
Which is funny because, well, I'm not going to say that. It might get too much away to about my kids. But yeah, I was going to be GB. And then the guy, because they knew a GB in town and they liked him. And then it turned out they didn't like him. And so I became Baron.
I'm glad you're not GB. I don't know.
That's the story I've been told.
It reminds me of like the name Gibby. And I hate that name.
Well, no offense, Gibby.
Gibby.
If you're watching, no offense.
We love you,
Go guard somebody, Gibby. What are your thoughts on all these disasters? Natural or otherwise, like what happened today in Nepal and Tibet. Seems like things are out of control in all aspects of life. Well, that was wild, by the way. That seemed to be caused by an earthquake that triggered a glacial lake to empty. So that makes sense to me. I mean, earthquakes happen. Glacial lakes are formed. They're above, they're high because they're cold. And if they empty quickly, it's going to be disastrous for everybody downstream. So that made sense to me. What I noticed about that was, though, it was a good example of what I was talking about on a member show a couple of member shows ago, where I talked about the mile-high, 1,000-mile wall of water that I think the elites are trying to orchestrate for Earth and just wipe out everything, and they'll either go up into the sky or and on their rockets, or they'll go underground. But that's a good illustration of what water looks like when it's angry, when it's moving quickly, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Imagine that, but instead of being 100 meters tall, 1,600 meters tall. And instead of moving at 100 to 300 miles an hour, the different estimates I saw, imagine it moving at 1,000 miles an hour at 1,600 meters tall. You're looking at a real global catastrophe that almost nobody would survive. So that's my thought on that particular disaster. Other disasters, I mean, if what you're asking me is, do I think there are ways to induce disaster? Yes, I think we can induce drought in certain areas. I think we can induce excess rain in certain areas. I think we can intensify hurricanes or de-intensify hurricanes or storms. I think they've figured out ways to intensify or de-intensify them, potentially cause earthquakes. I think all that's on the table, if that's what you're asking me. What habits do I have that bother Mrs. Coleman? This is going to touch a nerve if she's watching. So I like if you guys ever read the what's the name of it? The 5 love languages. So my love language is touch. I'm a touch guy. You're not touching me, I'm not loved. It doesn't have to be like sensual. It just has to be touch. And so when we go down for the night, I always flip and go first to the foot of the bed. My head goes to the foot of the bed, and I put my foot up in her arms, and she rubbed my foot for a few minutes before we go to bed. It's just the touch, put you in a good mood before you go to bed. And but one thing she hates, probably the worst habit I have, is when she stops rubbing for a minute because she's concentrating on something, I do this with my foot. Like, hey, come on. So I just kind of do that with my foot, and then she'll start rubbing again, and then she'll stop, and I'll do it again. She can't stand it. It's like one of the things she hates the most. Other habits I have, I don't know. And, if I have a habit I know she hates, I try not to do it. Right? Don't want to bother her. What are the 3 most valuable quality skills of a paralegal, in your opinion? Oh, this is a great question. Number 1, if you're not organized, go to art school. Don't try to be a paralegal. Like if you are not organized, this is not your calling. Go do something else. You can still go to art school. Number 2, promptness. You have to be on time. And that means not just organizing when I'm talking about organizing, I'm like organizing structure. Promptness is organizing time. So I don't want to miss a deadline. I don't want a deadline to sneak up on me. If we have a brief with a 30-page limit due in 60 days, I need you to remind me when it's 45 and 30 and 15 and 10, and then every day after that. We don't want to miss them. And third, I want you to predict. I need you to predict. Don't tell me I've got an email. Tell me, here's the proposed draft I've given you to respond to this email. I may trash it. I may send it just as is. I may edit it and send it back. But don't. The only paralegal I've ever gotten sideways with, and I loved her dearly. I did. But she argued with me about grammar. And I was like, I'm not budging on this. Stop changing that. Because it was one particular grammar rule she thought I was violating in all my letters. And she would send it back edited for me to sign. And I was like, don't do that again. Like, I know this rule. I know the difference between that and which. I know what a restrictive and non-restrictive clause is. If you change it again, I'm going to let you go. You can't do this. You're not it's not your name on the bottom. Stop changing that. And she finally didn't. It wasn't just that and which, but it was a couple other things. And she would change them. And then when I would read over it, I'm like, I don't write like this. I'm not an idiot. Not that she was an idiot. She just had a misunderstanding of English grammar. When you're talking, you can get it wrong. When you're writing, it has to be precise. Is there any person in podcasting in the public eye that came close to what CK did? It seems so vital for young people in this country. I'd love to hear your opinion. A current person who's coming close to what Charlie did? No. And I think we have to first define what Charlie did. So I'm going to exclude the podcast. I'm going to exclude the books. I'm going to exclude the getting involved in politics because I don't think that's really had much of an effect on young people. Not a lot of young people are out buying the greatest new book that Charlie Kirk wrote. Those were really written for the boomers, or to give away as gifts. So that anyway, but I think we're talking about creating content for college people, organizing for college kids to have things to do, organizing chapters. No, I don't think there's anybody doing anything remarkably remotely close, including TPUSA. I think they've abandoned it basically. Was ever a fan of Howard Stern? No. Are we ever going to find out what happened to Mitch McConnell? No. As a father of 6 young kids, what advice can you give? Congrats and everything. Yeah, I mean, in what I was talking about earlier, let them be bored. Let them be bored. Even your older ones, let them be bored a little bit. Love them, feed them, they'll be fine. Don't overthink it. Thinking a lot about what value TPUSA has for the government. I'm being honest, they are literally doing nothing of value to capture young voters. What are your thoughts? That's what I just said. They're not doing anything. They're doing nothing. They're like trying to troll the left, I guess, or troll Candace. I mean, what value are you creating? Right now, their big talking point is the Muslims are taking over. We got to go out and fight them in Iran. Do you know anybody who's struggling to make grocery bills work in their family, or anybody who's worried about potentially losing a job because their job is kind of going away with this new economy? Do you know anybody who is struggling with a kid who's addicted to drugs, or they themselves are addicted to drugs? Someone who can't afford housing, and so they're delaying marriage and starting a family because they can't afford to live. Anybody who is drowning in medical debt and thinking of bankruptcy which is going to destroy their ability to borrow and buy a house and everything else. Who wakes up in the morning like, my God, I hope Iran doesn't get a nuclear weapon today. No. No. I don't think so. And as long as that's their focus, they're just losing everybody. They're just losing everybody. Because the people that Charlie was talking to and connecting with, that's not what they cared about. Like, it was like, how do I start a family, man? How do I, I'm 24. I don't know how to meet people. What am I doing here? I don't love my job. Can you give me some advice? Like, that's where Charlie kind of shined. He was like preaching family values. He was preaching close to home. Close to home. I mean, he had opinions on foreign policy, but that's not what was attracting people to him. Nobody showed up at his events to hear what he would say about the war in Iran, or, it just wasn't. That's not why people showed up. The people who loved him. Now, that might have been why his detractors showed up, but the people who loved him, it was like God, Jesus Christ, and apple pie. What makes us American? How can we be better today than we were yesterday? What sort of things should I be doing, Charlie? And I can't think of anybody who's preaching that right now. I mean, there's some podcasters. I try to instill that. I try to stay home on that mission. But I don't see anybody operating at that level doing that. I mean, what do they do? They're now trying to like TPUSA life, like you're going to enroll in TPUSA when you're 6 months old and you're going to still be in TPUSA when you're back in diapers at 91. Weird. What's the one quality each child has individually that makes you proud and or makes you crazy? I kind of did this on a previous member show where I went through my 8 kids. I'm not going to do that again, but so I don't know that I want to do that again. And I see you're a member, so you could go back and watch that. My dog lets me pee when my dog hits me when I stop hitting him too.
Someone said that after you said that you move your foot after Mrs. Coleman rubs it.
Well, my dog does that too. Like when I get off the show and I open the door, she'll come in and she puts her head in my lap and I'll pet her head for a second. And then I like have to use my hands and do stuff. And she starts pushing her head down on my lap. And then she'll start like rocking it back and forth. Like, what are you doing, old man? Then I'll rub her head for a minute and she kind of lightens up and she leans her head to the side. Like, get behind this ear. Then she leans her head over here. She's like, get behind this ear. And then I'm like, okay, give me just a second. I go to do something, poof, head right back in the lap. She starts putting down. So yeah, I think I'm just a dog. I've long said the key to a good wife is treat her husband like a dog. Feed him, pet him, call him a good boy. If you do those 3 things, you're going to have a very successful marriage. Baron, what's the most thoroughly researched tip that someone has sent to you that you can mention? That Brian Harpole absolutely was on that flight from Dallas to Salt Lake City. 100%. What portion of scripture could you read again and again? Thank you for all you and Daisy do. Thank you, Mrs. C, for being supportive of this endeavor. What portion of scripture could I read again and again? John 6. John 6. And thank you. Thank you. Question. Have you or Daisy ever seen a tornado in real life? If so, what's it like? I'm a weather dweeb. I've been in and near tornado. I remember when I was a young kid in Indiana, I was at a daycare and we had to go down to the basement and it got real loud and crazy. And then we came up, there were like park benches in the street and just trash everywhere. A tornado had gone through. I'll say this also. The 2 days before my oldest was born, I was at work at a law firm, and the weather was on because there was a tornado coming our way. It was a big tornado, and it was headed right towards where we were living at the time. And I kept looking at that path, and I thought, man, it's going right at my house. And so I called Mrs. Coleman. I was like, all right, I don't think you have long. Get the cat. We had a cat at the time. Get the cat. She was pregnant, very pregnant. Get the cat, get in the bathtub. There was no basement in this house. It was an old farmhouse that had the iron tubs, so it was like you were safe in there. But get the cat and get in the tub and get some blankets or something put over you. And she called me back afterwards. She was like, it was close. And I mean, it like took down trees in our front yard and hit the neighbor's house. It was that kind of close. Like their house had to be totaled. And they built a new house behind it. That kind of close. But have I ever seen a tornado? I mean, I've seen tornadic conditions, but I don't know that I've ever seen the actual funnel cloud drop out of the sky. Daisy, ever seen a tornado?
No, I've never seen one, but I can tell she's not a member because she doesn't have the icon. But if you were on the member show, anyone that was on it last week, when you were answering questions, I said that I wanted to be a meteorologist when I was like 8 years old.
That's right. I remember
that. So when I saw that one, I was like, I wonder if he has seen a tornado. No, I've never seen one. I grew up South Texas, like Houston area, and so there's a lot of weather, like tropical weather, a lot of tropical storms, hurricanes. So never saw a tornado, but I lived through a few hurricanes.
For News Channel 2, WSTH, this is Daisy May signing off.
Have you ever had to evacuate from like a weather?
Oh, yeah.
Besides,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I worked at the bank, we had to go into the bank. And it was the first time I'd met the CEO, who was kind of a famous guy at the time. It was the first time I met him because we were in the executive wing of the bank. And he came down the stairs. And you want to talk about leadership? There's a reason some people are successful. Everyone was kind of freaking out. And he was just walking around, hamming it up. And somebody asked him, and they said his name. They're like, hey, so-and-so, aren't you worried? They say it's coming right at us. He was like, no, it's not going to hit us. Why would we worry? And I was like, oh, you seem confident.
Perfect.
And then
was it a hurricane?
No, it was a tornado. Yeah. Meteorologist Daisy May. Do you think the donors' questions, what would happen to TPUSA if you died, were actually a threat? And that's why Charlie thought they're going to kill him? Yeah. I do. Mad world. What aspects of being a podcaster have you surprised you the most? The schedule, man, the schedule. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I mean, putting a story together is a lot of work. Putting a show together is a lot of work. I used to just assume it just happened, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what I thought. But this is different than radio in that with radio, I was covering like just the news of the day, like what was happening that day. And, I did go in depth on some stuff, but a lot of times I would just have 16 or 20 stories pulled up and I would just sort of cover them and give my spin on it. This is different. This is in depth. Lots of work behind the scenes. Why are you against the drone theory? Being that there's technology that we don't even know about, especially in the military and especially from our greatest ally. I'm not against it. I haven't seen evidence of it. There's a difference. I haven't seen evidence of it. Yeah, there's a lot of evidence. I mean, there's a lot of technology that exists. I mean, they might have the ability to, zap you with a satellite, but I'm not covering the satellite theory, of Charlie Kirk's death because I see no evidence of it and I'm not aware of it. So I have to look other places. I can't construct a theory based on a total lack of evidence and say, yeah, but it could have happened. Okay, well, yeah, maybe. I mean, it could have. You're right. You're absolutely right. But I don't think we can confidently cover that. What's your personal record on the bench press? And how much do you bench right now? Oh, I'm not a super strong guy. I think I've benched like 235, maybe 245. I don't remember if I have 245 or not. Right now, I don't know. I tore my shoulder up a few years ago throwing a softball. And I'm mostly healed. Like I did dumbbell bench press the other day in a workout. There were, 55 total reps. And I used the double 50s and got through it. It wasn't pretty, but I got through it. So that's my working out is not like go see how much your squat can be. I'm more working out to try to stay fit, to stay healthy, to stay with a good cardiorespiratory response. I want to be able to respond to life. I want functional fitness. I want general preparedness. I want to be generally prepared for what life throws at you. I want balance, agility, strength, cardiorespiratory response, accuracy. You know, I don't find much value in just saying, hey, let's go see if we can figure out how to squat 450 and let's just keep squatting until we can get to 450. Yeah, but if you can't run a mile, what the hell difference does that make? You know?
I saw a couple people asking about your shoulder. That's why I came in. And since you brought it up, I figured, I don't know if you've talked about it, but someone was just asking. They noticed, I guess, that you had grabbed your shoulder when you were saying something.
Yeah, it's probably,
So, yeah.
and I did push-ups today in a workout. I did 45 push-ups in a workout today. So I work my shoulder, but I don't have a good
happened to it?
shoulder. I tore it in two places. I tore part of it on the front, part of it on the back. Now I did use BPC 157 and it really helped. Like it went from you need surgery to it's just going to bother you a little bit. But it does bother me a little bit and I got to warm it up a lot. And so I've never been a great bench presser. I don't think I could hit 235 or 245 right now, if that's what you're asking. I could probably confidently say I could do 225. Why this week was so quiet about Charlie Kirk investigation? No new info. Candace off and you're off. Is there something to it? No hate. By the way, just asking. I'm dying to know what happened to Charlie Kirk. I don't think this week was particularly quiet. I've got plans that are going to prevent me from preparing for shows. And if I'm not going to prepare for a show, I'm not going to do a show for Thursday and Friday and Sunday. So that's why I'm taking off. I don't know that it's been so quiet. It's just there's actually a ton of work being done behind the scenes on some pretty compelling aspects. So stay tuned. Who in the family walks Tilly the most? I mean, one of my kids. I'm not going to tell you their names. Do you think there's any possibility CK was aware and involved all these shady things going on in his organization? Yeah, I think it's a strong possibility. He asked for a Doge effort. I mean, he appointed a new COO and asked for an accounting of where the money is. Can you explain in short, why do you like each person in your pick display? I already understand the blank space. Yeah, so everybody here, I think my main qualification was, did the establishment hate you? If the answer to that question is yes, you qualified to earn a spot back here. Now, not everyone who was hated by the establishment has earned a spot. I had, at the time, our only four what I would consider truly populist presidents: Roosevelt, Jackson, and JFK. All three of them were shot. All three of them got shot. And Donald Trump was in the middle, and he got shot. So being a populist is bad for your health. It's bad for your health. But I had to take Trump down when he started the war in Iran. That's a bridge too far for me. Joe McCarthy is an American hero, absolute American hero. What he did and the way he took it and how he was maligned and destroyed is a lot like what Candace Owens is going through now. Martin Luther King, obviously despised by the establishment and went through hell for it. Went to jail, ultimately was shot and killed over it. Rosa Parks a little different. She was hated by the establishment, but she played a role. But I like her because she was really sort of a revolutionary more than just a seamstress. Yeah, she was a seamstress, but that was a planned act. That was a planned, coordinated act. And I'm a big fan of the civil rights era. I understand all the problems with the era. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everybody's a saint on this wall. They've all done things that they shouldn't have. You can't put anybody on your wall if you have to agree with everything they've ever done, right? But Rosa Parks kicked off basically a revolution in this country, and or her participation in it kicked off the revolution, and she sort of handled it with class and dignity the rest of her life. She didn't go crazy with it. In the middle is Booker T. Washington. He's probably the least known person on this wall. That's kind of a local thing. We lived right outside of Tuskegee for a long, long time, and what Booker T. Washington built in Tuskegee is, against all odds and in the face of all opposition, is so unbelievably remarkable that he is a truly remarkable man. He was a friend of Teddy Roosevelt's. a confidant of Teddy Roosevelt's, and a really brilliant man. And everything was set up for that to fail. And he's really more representative of all of Tuskegee, everything that took place there. If you've never been to the Tuskegee Airmen Museum, you should go. It's really interesting. If you've never toured Booker T. Washington's house, you should go. It's really interesting. If you don't know the story of Tuskegee, you should go. It's really interesting. And even the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, which was a mar on civilization, started out as, hey, there's no cure for syphilis. Here's a group of people that have it. Let's monitor them, and that way we can closely monitor them. Well, about 5 years into the study, they invented a cure for syphilis. Okay, study over. Give everybody the cure for syphilis, penicillin. Well, they didn't. They didn't. And they just kept letting them just decay for no reason, because now we have a cure and it costs pennies. So why are we not giving them the cure? And the worst part of the Tuskegee syphilis experiment isn't even the experiment itself. They were publishing the results and this ongoing story. They're publishing in national medical journals that are being read by doctors and educators and professors and smart people. I get emotional talking about this. They were publishing the results of this cruel and inhumane tracking of people who could be cured for pennies. And they did it for decades until finally somebody reads it and is like, what the hell are we doing? We're not human. What is this? Why are we not healing these people? And so Booker T. Washington kind of represents all of that. But there's so many more people in that movement that could have been on that wall. I'll do an opening one day on Fred Gray, a remarkable man. He was a lawyer in Tuskegee, and his son is now a lawyer in Tuskegee. Not as remarkable of a man, but I actually met Fred Gray when he was still practicing law in a courtroom in Macon County, Alabama. Chance encounter and a brush with history. So, that's who they are. That's who they are. Question: do you believe presidents are selected and not elected? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. As are most people in the House and Senate. Lots of smoking books out there. Smoking books. Which one have you been talking about? Author? Alan Carr, C-A-R-R. How to Stop Smoking or something. Alan Carr.
The easy way to stop smoking. You almost got it.
Yeah, I'm getting closer. And we've had to answer it so many times. We're gonna heal this community one non-smoker at a time.
One logic book and one non-smoker
That's
at a time.
We're gonna increase your IQ. We're gonna up your logic game, and we're going to
get you off the nick.
Yeah, get you off the nicotine. Maybe put the booze down, put the drugs down. Get back into your religious life. We're gonna help these people one day.
Healthy eating. We're here for it, guys.
Yeah, you're gonna get fit. I am fit. I'm not. If you weren't here earlier, you don't understand why I said that. Question might be: I just started a job in legal billing, and I'm still intimidated by the attorneys. What's a funny anecdote about attorneys you can share that will help me see them as regular Joes? Funny anecdote. I don't know. Some of them take themselves entirely too seriously. Like, I've worked with some jerks. I mean, real jerks. And I've worked with some of the greatest human beings I've ever known. Giving, loving, kind, helpful. So I don't know what you're up against. But just, I mean, don't get too invested. I've had what is that word? Anterograde amnesia for the last 5 years, i.e. 51st dates. I've never seen that, so I don't know what that means. If you lost your memory tomorrow, how would you continue to participate in your life in a meaningful way, and why would you? Christ is King indeed.
So 51st Dates, you've really never seen it? It's such a good movie. You should watch it. Oh my gosh, it's a classic. Adam Sandler.
I don't watch a lot of movies.
It's a good one. Well, just so you know, 51st Dates, this woman, and I haven't seen it in a long time. She has, I guess, what this is, anterograde amnesia. Mm-hmm. And basically every morning she has to, or the guy that she ends up meeting puts together this like a collage of videos that she watches every morning. And then she starts to kind of remember her life, but it's called 51st Dates because every day she wakes up and she doesn't remember. And I don't know exactly what the gap is, but she basically goes on like 51st dates with this guy until she you'll have to watch it. I'll send you the trailer.
I saw a movie along those lines called Memento. I've seen it twice now. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Same thing. Guy wakes up, But he doesn't wake up and forget. Like he forgets in minutes. Like you'll tell him something now, and 2 minutes later doesn't forget. So he found this way with making notes and all this stuff to kind of remind himself. The answer, Andy, is I have no advice for you other than you have a purpose here in life, you know, and it's the ultimate mockery of God to take away that purpose and just give it away and just throw it away.
He's asking what you would do.
Well, I don't know what I would do. I have no idea. I mean, I've never experienced it. I've never seen the movie. I heard your description, but I don't know. But so I don't know what I would do, but I do know that no matter what, throwing away your life is smiting God himself, you know, and that's not, you know, that can't be the answer. So I'm a bad person to ask that because I'm not familiar with it. Baron, what's the biggest mistake you have ever made in your working life? In my working life? I quit one place in the entirely wrong way, and I regret it. I do. I should have been kinder and kept and bit my tongue a little bit on the way out the door. You know, I'm a big. I preach now. Don't burn bridges. Not that it ever came back to bite me, but it was just the wrong thing to do. I finally said the things I'd been thinking on my way out, and I shouldn't have. I should have just kept to myself. Favorite everyday shoes, Vans. Vans slip-ons. The perfect everyday shoe, in my opinion. It's not too. It's not so much padding that it's causing your legs to weaken and your feet to weaken and all that, but it's enough that it protects your foot, and it's pretty flat, and it's got a wide toe box, so your toes can kind of spread out a little bit. They're not all crunched up all day. I'm a big Vans slip-on guy. I've got several pairs. If you see me in public, there's a good chance I'll have them on. Who do you look up to and become inspired by? This is a weird answer. I will meet people sometimes, and I don't know, I can't give you like a particular name without outing somebody. But I'll meet people sometimes and they'll find joy in a job that would just slay me, that I would just be mind numbed. And you finally realize they're not finding joy in the mechanical act they're doing repetitively, or the, you know, simple thing they're doing, or it might be important, but it's just, you know, they're not finding joy in that. They're finding joy in the fact that it's creating a life for them, and it's creating the ability to provide, and it's giving them, you know, it's allowing them to work, and they find joy in it. And I'm so inspired by that, because so many people lack joy because they think, oh, my circumstances don't allow me to have joy right now. And that's not it, man. Joy is a choice. Joy is a choice. You know, find the thing that provides, you know, that you can key in on. And if not, figure out how to start doing it. Start being a joyful person. That's who I get inspired by, is like someone like that. I've stopped asking people what they do for a living. And sometimes it's rude because they'll ask me and I won't ask them back. Like it happened last night. I was at a meeting last night. Remember, I had to leave the show early to go to a meeting. So I went to a meeting and I walk in and the guy says, "What do you do for a living?" I was like, "It's weird. I do a podcast." And he's like, "Oh, tell me about it." And then I told him all about it. And he's like, "Oh, that's interesting." And I think he was waiting for me to say, "What do you do?" I've stopped asking because I don't want anyone to believe I'm judging them based on what they do. You know, what if he tells me I don't know. I can't think of, but just, I don't want anyone to think I'm judging them based on that. I want to judge you based on your character and our conversation and what we talk about. What are your interests? You know, if you tell me you're the governor of Mississippi or you're a senator from Illinois, I don't want to be any more impressed than, you know, I drive the waste dump truck and I come to your house and I operate the little arm that dumps the truck back and drive. Like, both important jobs, both vital, frankly. Community would stop without each of them. So why am I ascribing more value to one over the other? I think that's nonsense. And so I've totally stopped asking people. And I think people sometimes get offended because they want me to ask. And I don't. I usually follow up with, well, what do you do for fun? You know, what are your hobbies? You know, tell me about your family. So I've stopped asking. Question: what was your view on the Richard Allen case in Indiana? It's the one where 2 young girls were killed on a bridge. I've wondered about this for so long and really hope you answer. I did not watch all the evidence. I am familiar with it. I thought, again, there's a lot of people feel this about Tyler Robinson. It seemed pretty overwhelming to me, just based on very little verifiable information that I have. But I don't know. I mean, I wish I had more information. I'm very hesitant. When people ask me this a lot, what do you think about this case? What do you think about this case? Having been on those sides where I've represented people who were totally maligned in the press, like I've had clients who they did HBO documentaries on how horrible they were. I've had clients where they were on the evening news about what a monster they were. And I knew the truth of the case, and I knew that what they were saying wasn't true, but you can't talk, like you can't, there's no way to respond to it. So you just try the case. And I've represented some people that were, the news wasn't too wrong. But, you know, so I don't want to weigh in. And I've had people try to attack me on, oh, you represented so-and-so. He's accused of this. I'm like, yeah, but you don't know the case and it's not true. But it's not my thing to say because I'm bound by secrecy, right? I can't talk about those things. So all I can do is say, yeah, I did. And don't judge me for who I represent. So I don't know the case. I am almost never going to weigh in on a case like that where I don't know. And like the Lindsay Clancy trial, I've got very strong opinions on it, but I didn't watch the whole trial. My sister did, or watched most of it. So she probably has an opinion. I don't. And I don't have an opinion on that. I mean, it looked pretty clear cut to me from the news headlines, but I don't know. Apologies. This already asked, what's your favorite podcast to listen to, watch, and why? Oh gosh, I can't answer that because I've got so many friends now who are podcasters. I will say this. I think in terms of spectacle, I don't think there's a better podcaster on earth right now than Candace Owens. And I don't say that because I consider her a friend. I don't say that because any reason other than it's true. I think she is a massive broadcasting talent. But I also like weird podcasts. Like I like Randall Carlson's podcast. I listen to a lot of those. I used to listen to a lot of Joe Rogan. I've kind of stopped, honestly. I think Tucker Carlson's excellent. I like his monologues in particular. I try to, and I'm not at all one to say that, or one to deny when I get inspiration from somebody. I try at times to get into Tucker Carlson's voice a little bit when I'm writing, particularly the first few sentences of an opening, because I think the way he starts a monologue is so generationally talented. He is a generational talent in how to kick off a monologue. There's no denying he's the most skillful monologue starter of all time. I mean, I don't know if that's a category, but he is the best. But I like a lot of smaller podcasts. I mean, I like a lot of smaller podcasts that have nothing to do with the Charlie Kirk case and nothing to do with politics. That might have to do with, physics or ancient history. Might have to do with, medical stuff. I don't know. So I listen to a lot. I mean, I could look by and see the last few podcasts I've watched. Let me pull this up. So the last podcast I watched was a guy named Niles Glenn, Nilsglenn. I watched a Chase Hughes podcast recently. I watched one by a guy named Philosophical Essence. That was the fourth to last podcast I watched. Philosophical Essence. Coach Colin. Jesse on Fire. What is that? I don't even know what that is. Oh, that was for research. That wasn't a podcast I listened to. Randall Carlson, Danny Jones. I like Danny Jones a lot. And I like, I've gotten into Julian Dory more here recently. I like their interview style quite a bit. Big fan. Brandon, have you ever heard about Summer Wells, the missing girl from Hawken County, Tennessee, that has been missing for 5 years? Would you maybe do a member show and talk about her case a little bit? Never heard of her. I can't guarantee I will. I'd have to look into it. How many siblings and where were you in the mix? So one natural biological sibling. She is 4 years, 6 months, 3 days, and 14 minutes older than I am. I have step siblings, 2 through my mother and 5 through my father. And they're mixed all over the place. Actually, no, they're all old. I'm the youngest of everyone. And some are closer to me than others. Yeah. Do you have a favorite joke to make us laugh? Yeah. So I do, but it's kind of long. I'm gonna pull it up. Actually, I'm gonna do it the way I'm gonna pull it up and read it because I want to get it exactly right. Because there are a couple of details. It's the funniest joke I've ever heard. I want to get it exactly right. Here we go. You ready? I'll pull it over here so that you can see it. It's a little long. It's not the shortest joke in the world. It'd take me 90 seconds to 2 minutes to get through it. This morning I received thrilling news. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm reading his commentary. So here's how the joke goes. Once I saw this guy on a bridge. He's about to jump. I said, don't do it. And he said, nobody loves me. I said, God loves you. Do you believe in God? And he said, yeah. Yeah, I do. I said, well, are you a Christian or a Jew? He said, I'm a Christian. I said, me too. Are you Protestant or Catholic? He said, Protestant. I said, me too. What franchise? He said, Baptist. I said, me too. Are you Northern Baptist or Southern Baptist? He said, Northern Baptist. I said, me too. Northern Conservative Baptist or Northern Liberal Baptist? He said, Northern Conservative Baptist. I said, me too. Northern Conservative Baptist Great Lakes region or Northern Conservative Baptist Eastern region? He said, Northern Conservative Baptist Great Lakes region. I said, me too. With all this stuff in common, I mean, you've got everything in the world to live for. Why would you jump? Are you Northern Conservative Baptist Great Lakes Region Council of 1879? Or are you Northern Conservative Baptist Great Lakes Region Council of 1912? And he said, Northern Conservative Baptist Great Lakes Region Council of 1912. And I said, die, heretic, and I pushed him over. That's my favorite joke. I need to memorize all those pieces. That's a great joke.
Where did you hear that?
I don't remember who told me that first, and then someone told it to me, and they got some of the details wrong. And so I finally found the guy who wrote it, who first gave the joke, and I now know where I keep that, so I can find it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. It is my all-time favorite joke. Die, heretic, and pushed him over. I love that joke. It is so good on so many levels. Tips for teaching a 7-year-old to listen to their parents. Since you have so many kids, I assume you have knowledge to pass down to us. I don't know. Some of my kids listen better than others. But I don't know what to tell you. What's your favorite thing about Mrs. Coleman? Everything. She puts up with Tilly. I came home with a dog and she didn't kick me out. That was nice. She did not want a dog. She was very opposed to getting a dog. I got a dog and she didn't kick me out. She let me stay. My favorite thing, her genuine, pure faith. Like it's real. It's real. And I encounter a lot of people that notice the same thing. She just has a real, pure, simple spirit. And it's just beautiful to behold. What was your favorite family vacation with your wife and children? So this is interesting. We don't do a lot of vacations. We have a big family. It's hard to drag everybody around. Every year, my mother rents a house down on the beach, and we all travel down there. I don't know that one sticks out as particularly favorite or better than all the others, but that's the only family vacation that we've ever really taken, other than like go visit a grandparent or something. So I'll have to go with that. Have I ever taken an IQ test? I have. I'm not going to tell you the number because I don't want to be perceived as bragging, and I don't want to be perceived as stupid by someone who has a higher number. But I have. I did it a few times. I did it once when I was like in elementary school, and then once again later.
Are there like online one? Like how can you, was there like one real IQ test? How do you do that?
I think there's like one real IQ test. I'm not sure.
I'll be looking into that.
There was like the one when I was younger had a puzzle component and it was timed.
Mhm.
And then there was like question and answer stuff. And there was, just generalized knowledge. I do remember the puzzle component. And then there was one part where they read numbers and you have to read them back to them. And it was like forward. And then it was they read numbers and you have to read them back to them backwards. And I remember the interviewer, he read me the numbers and I was putting them together in my head so it wasn't hard. Like I do remember this. One of the 4 sets of numbers was 1865 in the middle. I got up to like, I don't remember. It was like 17 or something. And I remember when I got to like 12, he's like, huh. And then he gave me the next one and I gave him the number. He's like, Then he gave me
so
the
it was
next one.
administered by a person.
Yeah, this one was administered by someone. There was someone sitting in the room with me giving it to me.
And then another one you took on paper?
Yeah, it had a paper component to it, but there was like a person component as well. Where they like sit in the room and they watch you put stuff together and they time you and then they write down the time. So, but I remember the 4 numbers in the middle were 1865. And I remember, well, that was the year the Civil War ended, so that was easy. One of the other ones had 3 numbers that were a famous football score. So that was, and I'm just like putting these numbers in my head. So it wasn't 17 numbers for me. It was like 4.
Yeah.
And so I just remembered football game, end of the Civil War, whatever. And so I just kept calling him back to him. And I was like, maybe if he'd have picked a different set of numbers, I'd have looked, borderline incompetent. I don't know. But he gave me numbers that made sense. And then when they call him backwards, I don't think I got as high. I think I had like 12 or 13.
I want to find one.
Yeah. I just remember there were all kinds of little, like, it took all day. It was like all little tests. I don't know. Then they give you a number. They spit out, supposedly you're here. What are your thoughts on serial killers? Organically created or government experiments? Both. What about carnivore diet? Have you tried it? I'm on it for anti-inflammatory properties, helps pain. I've tried it for short periods of time. I can never get past like 2 or 3 days. And I love meat. I love red meat. I love fish. I love anything that comes out of the ocean I will eat. Even a lot of freshwater fish I'll eat. But I got to have something that crunches. Like, and crisping up burgers to where they crunch did not satisfy it. I got to have I need something that crunches. So I had trouble with it. What kind of family car do you drive? Mama 5 and my Honda Odyssey is feeling pretty small. So when we were at our biggest and before we had teenage drivers, we drove a 12-passenger van. Now we have a minivan because we have multiple drivers that can assist when needed. Are you a distraction from the war? I hope not. If so, no one told me. I'm a big fan that you should get your news from different places. Like,
Hey, do you have Tim Dillon running?
Where?
I don't know. I just hear Tim Dillon in my headphones.
No, I don't have anything really.
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe it's just me. I was just sorry. I didn't want to interrupt.
I hear it now. You must have it on somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have it. Yeah, when your mic closed, it went away. So I don't think, I think, like, for example, is Randall Carlson a distraction from the Iran war? If I get really into ancient geography? No. Is Joe Rogan a distraction from the war if he interviews a bunch of people on drugs? No. Is I just don't buy into that one person has to, like the drone theory. Are you a distraction from the drone theory? No. If somebody John Cullen's covering it. If you want to hear about it, go watch him. If I ever find enough interest in it, I'll cover it. I'm not convinced. What do you think about TPUSA setting up Ben Shapiro to head their upcoming tour? America, love it or leave it. Shouldn't it be Israel, love it or leave it? So I looked at that headline, and the couple things I noticed is there's several Daily Wire appearances on that, which has shocked me, frankly, including a guy named Matt Nuclear, who's not a thing. He does shows and maybe gets 500 views. So why is he featured on these tours? And are they doing the under the tent thing again? Are they going to have question and answer with the public, or is this just speeches given from an auditorium? Because that's not what TPUSA was. You mentioned black seed oil. What brand and what benefits? I'm not going to tell you the benefits because I don't want YouTube dinging me for giving medical advice or whatever. You can research all the benefits, health benefits, black seed oil. It cures everything but death, in my opinion. But I use Maji, M-A-J-I. That's not an endorsement. That's just the brand that I use because someone else recommended it to me. And I like it. Can you give us your top 3 favorite shows? Podcast shows? See, I can't because it varies so much. It's almost day to day. Like my 3 favorite shows today might not be my 3 favorite shows last week or next week. So I can't really do that. I can just kind of, and I have over the course of these questions, give you an idea of the stuff I listen to. In the 90s, what was your go-to jam when you hopped in a car? So I think Pearl Jam Black. The song Black is one of the top songs ever written. It's one of the best songs ever recorded. I love it. But I wasn't a big Pearl Jam guy. I just love that song. And I like some of their other stuff, but I would, top jam in the 90s when I jumped in a car. I can just give you the albums I listen to the most. Fish, Lawn Boy, and Fish Hoist. I like both of those albums a lot. I still listen to Guns N' Roses when I was in high school, even though they'd kind of past their prime at that point. So Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, Appetite for Destruction. I was still listening to those. Dave Matthews, Under the Table and Dreaming, I loved that whole album. Not a bad song on it. I listened to a lot of rap back then, but it was like regional rap. It wasn't really the national stuff. So I would almost be embarrassed to start naming the names of those, to be honest with you. I had a country phase. I went through a little country phase. I listened to a lot of Brooks and Dunn. Just a lot of 90s country, whoever was popular and famous at the time. So I don't know. When I met my wife, she was like, "You are a weird guy. You listen to everything." And I do. I mean, I even listened to like Pantera back in the day. Like I listened to everything. You're looking at the Board of Peace. What do you think about Trump making himself a permanent board member? This is a repeat because it was skipped. It wasn't skipped. We're not taking every question. I've not looked into it much, to be honest with you. I know people get all bent out of shape about it, and I'm sure I should too, but I haven't. I got to pick and choose what I can cover. If EK and CK openly discuss threats on podcast together and what they had, and that they had no fear, then why did CK find this threat serious? Why did EK not know this one? So many times EK and CK didn't fear the left. You assuming it's real. We're assuming the text is real. I have a theory on this, that he was being set up and people were telling him that these were real threats and more serious threats than that he had faced in the past. And Baron, thanks for opening question podcast today. My question is, why did you choose IU versus U of T? Well, I wasn't even living in Tennessee at the time. I was actually living in Alabama. I'd gone to college in Alabama. So I guess the better question was why not Alabama and why Tennessee? I didn't even apply to Alabama. I didn't apply to Tennessee either. IU was always like my emotional draw. Like I'm an Auburn fan. I like Auburn just fine. I get excited when they win, and I like Auburn just fine. But Indiana was like a childhood seed was planted in me, and the opportunity to go to law school there, it was like my dream school. I love when you covered the Karen Reed case in an opening. What did you think about that case and all the shenanigans surrounding it, the police, et cetera? Well, it certainly seemed to me that the police did some things to try to make it look like she did it. And I think that's wrong. I don't think the police should be putting their foot on the scale. Baron, what's your take on Hexeth's opening for TPUSA's alternative halftime show? Sus, as a veteran of the USMC, I'm no longer a proud veteran because of his involvement in my op. Christ is king. I don't think I think we should go back to civilian leadership of militaries. Like, I don't think anyone who's ever served should be qualified to be the Secretary of Defense. You can't currently serve, and if you did serve, you have to get a waiver. And I think we should just make it civilian leadership of the military. That's the way it was designed. That's the way the position was formed, and it should remain that way. So I'm not a fan of Hegseth leading the DOD at all. Wasn't a fan of Mad Dog leading the DOD. I don't think he should have been there. The guy who led it under Biden, I don't think he should have been there. I think we need to go back to pure civilian leadership. So that's my take on Hegseth as that position. And if you're going to be the head of the DOD, don't go open halftime shows. Be serious. Do you do your brakes, oil, and maintenance on your wife, kids' vehicle? I have 3 daughters that drive, and it's exhausting. Couldn't imagine having more. I don't find that I end up paying that much more to have it done than it would cost me to buy the materials to do it. And when you factor in the time value of money, the cost of me being away from being able to create an income for my family and doing that instead, it's a major loss. What's your biggest nope about the moon landings? All of it. I mean, there's no one thing. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. I would go as far as saying the Artemis 2 trip, where they supposedly went around the moon, may have made me more confident. That might now be the biggest nope that it didn't happen. Yes. Did you mean to come up?
Yeah, I was going to show the picture, the takeoff.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't. That's what it is for me.
Well, that didn't help. That didn't help. But no, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. For example, I heard someone say this the other day. Show me the battery that can power that stuff at 250 degrees below zero. Show me the amount of fuel it would take to accomplish that. How did they get there in one rocket back then? But now they're saying it's going to take potentially up to 32 rockets to get someone back to the moon. Why did it only take one Saturn V rocket? And why do we need that much fuel of a Saturn V rocket to get off of Earth into the moon, but we just need a little bitty fuel from a little bitty lander to get all the way back home? I just, I'm not buying it. Not buying it. What do you think Elon's actually doing with the Boring Company? Perfecting the technology to be used in other places. I think that's what he's doing. Using the technology now to be able to use in other places, whether that's unknown places under the Earth or on other planets, potentially asteroids, whatever. But figuring out how to get that technology perfected to where it can be used other places. What's the key difference between Greek Orthodox and Catholicism? Theologically, there are very few. Obviously communion with Rome is one of them. So papal supremacy, the Petrine supremacy would be probably the biggest difference. On the creed, the Catholics and the Orthodox have a slight variation on the origin of the Holy Spirit, whether it comes from the Father and the Son or whether it comes from the Father through the Son. On the transubstantiation versus consubstantiation, does the substance of the bread and wine actually change, or is it is the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Christ sort of transfuse or confuse, meaning with fusion into it? So there are a few differences. Nothing vital or major that I can tell, other than the communion with Rome. Excuse me, Grandpa, what are your aspirations for this podcast? I just want to be like Coach Colin when I grow up. Who wrote that? Oh, that's Coach Colin. I just want to be like Coach Colin when I grow up. That's my aspiration. That's it. I want to be like Coach Colin. I want to be funny. Did you live around the times when hitchhiking was acceptable and fun? No. I lived around the times when my mom told me not to hitchhike. Like there were already, I was in the age of serial killers.
I was like, this is funny. He probably was.
Old. No, I'm not that old. That kind of left in the 80s. You know, by the time, yeah. All through the 70s, I think it was pretty acceptable. And even through part of the 80s, it was probably pretty acceptable. But by the time, you know, there's a big difference between me at 46 and Tucker Carlson at 56 or 7, however old he is. Because he said his dad used to tell him, go hitchhike. You want to go somewhere? Go hitchhike. You want to go to the beach? Go hitchhike. My mother would have never told me that, ever. Because by then, there were movies about people hitchhiking and getting killed. So I was not around during that era. Not that old. Do the Fed slappers ever get to you, offend you? I imagine you need thick skin. I don't think I'd be able to remain as composed as you. No, they don't, really. There are times I want to set the record straight just because they're wrong. And so sometimes I'll chime in and just say, well, that's not what I said, or that's not right. But do they get to me? Like, no, they love to call me a liar. I'm the fastest person I know to correct something. If I've gotten a fact wrong, tell me, I will correct it. But if I look at a set of facts that we both agree are the facts, and I conclude something different, that doesn't make me a liar. That just makes me have a different conclusion of this set of facts. Was Tyler Robinson on the roof? No. Oh, he's a liar. Tyler. No, I looked at the set of facts and concluded he wasn't. You looked at the set of facts and concluded he was. That doesn't mean I'm a liar or you're a liar. That means we have different conclusions. So I do sometimes say, I will chime in and say, tell me the lie. I will be happy to correct it. Tell me the fact I got wrong. Even if it wasn't a lie. Like a lie is an intentional misrepresentation of truth. It takes intent. It takes mens rea. You intend to mislead someone, whether through omission or commission, right? You intend a result. You intend to leave them with an impression of reality that's incorrect. I don't do that at all. Now, sometimes do I say there were a set of prints on the gun that have not yet been confirmed? Well, yeah, I've said that, and I was wrong, and I'm sorry. I got that one wrong. Did I say that Gary previously said Mitch wasn't at Fort Huachuca? I did say that, and I got it wrong, and I apologized. And he continues to bring that up as like the only example of me lying. That wasn't me lying. I did not intentionally mislead people. I genuinely thought you said that. And I articulated what I believed to be true, and it turned out it wasn't. So I apologized, and I corrected the record. I'm the fastest person I know to correct the record. That's the only thing that bothers me. And it doesn't even bother me. I just want to set the record straight. But they can call me any name they want. I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me. My eyes are fixed on heaven. I don't care what some Fed slapper thinks of me. When EK answered, and I have his cell phone, was this before she found he had a Telegram account? I can't answer that. You'd have to ask her. Can you dance well? No, not even remotely. And in fact, if everyone could dance like me, it would be outlawed. I'm not much better than Elaine Bennis. Question, Baron, what specific Bible would you recommend to someone who really wants to really dig into God's word? Interesting. I've really liked this one. So this is the Ignatius Catholic Study Bible. It's the RSV version, the Revised Standard Version. It's got a ton of commentary. There's also a Navarre Bible, study Bible. Excellent commentary from Navarre. It's big, though. It's like mini volumes, whereas this is all contained in one. But this is just the New Testament. You would need the Old Testament, which I actually want to send this to TPUSA and all of the Calvary Chapel preachers because they seem to never mention the New Testament. They only talk about the Old Testament. I'd love for them to read it. If I was starting from scratch and someone gave me one of those, I would feel pretty prepared. What was the first thing about Antarctica that made you go down the rabbit hole? You mentioned it a while back, and I've been fascinated by all the mysteries surrounding it ever since. Honestly, the first time I learned it was kind of illegal to go there. All of a sudden I thought, well, what are they hiding there? And then you just ask, what are they hiding? And it took years to kind of come to some conclusions on what they might be hiding there. But that was what started it. Don't tell me I can't go somewhere. What are you doing over there? That's why Area 51 was so fascinating. You're not even allowed to get close to it and look in. So if I can't sit on the side of a mountain outside the bounds of Area 51 and look at it with binoculars, if that's illegal, then I'm very curious about what's going on in there. I want to go down that rabbit hole. Do you let your kids watch TV, and what books do you read to them? We do let them watch TV. Not a lot. On the weekends, they get a little. And if for some reason we have to have them quiet, they can, 30 minutes or an hour here or there, but not often Monday through Friday. We let them watch the Braves. So if the Braves are on, the TV's on. But other than that, the TV's not on. What books do we read? Oh, I mean, you would laugh if you walked into where we keep our books. We have so many books. When we moved, the books were an absolute nightmare. I mean, crates and crates and crates and crates and crates of books. We have more bookshelves than any human being should have. Like, it's a library up there. In fact, we've bought out old libraries. They get done with all their books and they're like 10 cents each. And we're like, we'll take them all. We'll just, whatever. We'll figure it out when we get home. So yeah, we like books. Big book guy. Are there reptilians? Are they the reptilians? Are who the reptilians? See, you said they. I don't like pronouns. I don't know who they are. What are your thoughts on cremation, natural burial, and being embalmed? Not to being morbid. I simply have a curious mind. Death completes our earthly life cycle, and I think it's an important topic. So in Catholic theology, your remains are sacred. We call them sacred remains. The body is not... it's one of the problems I have with Catholicism. They kind of toss the body aside. It's just a tent. It's just temporary. You don't need it. It doesn't matter what happens to it. No, it does. The body and the soul are both very important. The body's not perfect. Obviously, it has deficiencies. I cough all the time. I have terrible lungs. But the body has a meaning, and I'm not wild about cremation, but I don't think it's that unlike a fiery plane crash where everything's just smithereened away or getting blown up by something and you're just a pink mist. So obviously it's not where it's theologically impossible to imagine a scenario where cremation is acceptable. I'm willing to yield to the church on that, and they've come around on it. But I don't like when people just like dump ashes in the park. Because would you dump a leg in the park? Like if you didn't bury somebody, would you like store them on the mantle? Probably not. Would you drive around with their body in the car and saw off a foot and throw it out at their favorite park? Probably not. And that's kind of how I view that. Those are still sacred remains, and you're just like chunking them around in public places, and that's a little weird. To me, I would, snip off a toe and throw. Oh, he loved the swimming pool. Let's throw it out by the pool. So I'm not a fan of that. But again, I'm not telling someone how to live their life or what to do. That's them. It's their relative. It's their friend. It's their lover. Have fun, But that's just how I look at it. You asked me my opinion. That's my opinion on it. I would love to do a natural burial where you just dump me in a cardboard box and put me in the ground and let me go back to the earth. I think that's the purest death. Most states don't allow that. So you're probably not going to get it. But to me, that would be ideal. That would be the ideal way to bury people. Did you and Mrs. Coleman always know you wanted a baseball team of kids? No, we thought we would have think naturally we thought we'd have a smaller family. Are you the little spoon? In an ideal circumstance, yeah. Sometimes you get stuck as the big spoon, but if I can be the little spoon, I'm all about it. Question, can you explain how you research so thoroughly, especially when it comes to researching conspiracy theories? I think things are hard to find on purpose, but I know it's somewhere. I can't really. Just curiosity and keep digging. I can't outline that. Brandon, have you seen Dre's Kirk documentary yet? My jaw is on the flow. I have not. I'll have to watch it. Question, why did you write that in all caps? Are you yelling at me, Amber?
Yeah, she sent it like 4 times, so I finally just...
I'm not yelling at you, Amber. After being married for so long, any advice when you're going through a rough period? Well, we've gone through rough periods, We actually read a couple books that really helped us. One is His Needs, Her Needs. I would recommend that to anyone going through a rough patch. If you have 2 people who are committed and actually want to make it work, His Needs, Her Needs is phenomenal. It is not for the faint of heart. It is, whether you're a man or a woman, is going to step on your toes. It's going to offend you, and it is going to make you a better spouse if you implement these things. So, if you pick up his needs, her needs, and you read it and you follow it, you will have a better marriage. I am confident. I'm confident of that. But you'll also be angry while you read it, and you'll be offended, and you'll think this guy's this, and I don't like him, and I don't like her, and maybe. But when you read the book and you get to the end, you're like, oh, you know what? You're right. I could be a much better spouse. So that was good. But yeah, I mean, I don't, that's only advice I'm going to give right now. Has the Charlie Kirk situation made you reevaluate your circle at all? I feel like he was surrounded by some straight up snakes and just didn't see it in time. I don't have a circle. I've got Daisy, I've got Nurse Casey, I've got Mrs. Coleman. That's my circle. And so, only Mrs. Coleman is within arm's reach of me ever. Actually, my sister is. She comes up here sometimes. What do you think is really happening with Social Security? No idea. Thoughts on TPUSA announcing Ben Shapiro? Already answered that. Why has Steve Bannon gone so unscathed after all the revelation of the Epstein files? Also, what was Isaac Cappy's role in Q? Why was he suicided? I don't know about the Bannon thing. That's really weird, right? If we're being honest, that's weird. I don't know what to make of it. Other than the same things that were protecting the other guy, maybe protecting this new guy. What was Isaac Cappy's role? I don't know what Isaac Cappy's role was. I knew people who knew Isaac Cappy. I never knew Isaac Cappy. I knew people who knew him well. But I did not know him well. That is not my circle. First question, you would ask George if you got the interview. Is this George's burner account? George, are you Lala Cast 7?
I actually know who this is.
Did you go find a pretty gal to put on here so I wouldn't think it's you? Is that what this is? All right. I would say, George, why did you tell me no? Why did you tell me you were retired when you clearly weren't? Why did you lie? Do you always lie? Are you a lying liar who lies? No, I wouldn't ask that. I honestly don't know what my first question would be. He hadn't said yes, so I haven't sat down to think of him. Do you think it was the first attempt on CK, or do you think that he was attempted before and he caught on, and that's why he had fear for his life? Love these formats and learning about you. Yeah, I want to do this occasionally, not often, but occasionally. I honestly don't believe it was the first time it was set up, but we wouldn't have known but for the fact that he died that it was set up that day. So I think it was set up before. I think he was set up to die on previous occasions, and they just, for whatever reason, were not able to do it. 3 questions. Are you still studying, learning Spanish? What inspired you to learn the language? Do you and Mrs. C like to listen to Gregorian chants? Pax Christi, God bless you. I am, so that's one. What inspired me to learn the language? I don't know, just bored. I need something to get my mind off of. That's why I listen to other weird podcasts. I just need something to get my mind off this sometimes. It's a big topic, and it's very depressing, and it's very almost terrifying where it goes sometimes. And so I just need something to do to occupy my brain and make me think about other stuff. Do I like to listen to Gregorian chants? Quite a bit, actually, quite a bit. Sometimes I'll fall asleep listening to them. Sometimes we'll play them here and there. When I'm wearing hearing aids, I can play stuff in my hearing aids that other people can't hear at a very low volume. Sometimes I'll play that in the background. I've got this babbling brook sound that I'll play sometimes. And I've got this other playlist that I'll play in my hearing aids. And it's called Floating Through Space or Floating into Space. It's bookmarked on my Spotify. And it's a bunch of cello droning. And if you fall asleep, I will warn you, and I've warned you guys before, and it's been a long time. If you fall asleep listening to this cello droning, you will have the wildest dreams you've ever had. Some of them are terrifying. Be careful falling asleep to this stuff. It really does something to the brain. But it's really soothing when you play it through your hearing aids and you're in a kind of a crowded place and you hear this in the background. What's the weirdest rabbit hole in the TR case that has dragged you into? You too, Daisy. Weirdest rabbit hole. Probably the child trafficking stuff, be honest with you. I mean, I'm so weirded out by all the connections to that industry in this case. I've never met a single person involved in that industry. Seems like you can't research this for 5 minutes without running into somebody in that industry in this case. I don't know if you wanted to weigh in on that, but what do you really think is going on with Glenn Beck, Dan Bongina, and some of the others? I used to really respect these people, and now they seem so different, so disappointed in them. Your thoughts? I think they're the same people they were then. They just hit it better because they didn't have to burn them as operatives. Now they're burning them as operatives. I honestly think that's it. I think they played the same role for decades. A few questions. Were you a Candace fan before the Big Bang? If so, what drew you to her? How long will it take before the actual trial starts? Thank you for all you do. Love your honesty. I was a Candace fan. I mean, I did not love her working at Prager and Daily Wire, if I'm being honest. I was not a fan at that time. But towards the end of her Daily Wire tenure, I actually started to really kind of respect and like her quite a bit. I'd always been a fan. I've always respected the craft. Like, I know a good broadcaster when I see one. Top of her game. As good as anybody in the game today. Maybe as good as anybody in the game of broadcasting in years. I mean, decade or more. She's just phenomenal. But when she went independent, I became a fan. I absolutely became a fan. Started watching more and more. The Brigitte series, I could not get enough of. I thought that was just brilliant from top to bottom. I hope one day she goes back to it, frankly. I understand right now why she's not. But yeah, so that's that. How long until the trial starts? We don't know. I would say 12 to 24 months. Have you looked into the Ice Age cave that was uncovered in Springfield, Missouri, 9/11, 2001? Twin Towers didn't happen. They would have blasted it so much the cave would have been destroyed. No, I've never heard of it. How many pigeons would you have to see in your house to wonder if someone is putting them there? One?
I don't know why, but this one made me laugh.
Well, I mean, the first one, I've got to assume someone put it there. I mean, you know, that's easy. That's an easy.
I thought it said on your house.
Oh, on my house?
No, it said in. It said in.
Yeah, I mean, the first one. The first time I get a bird in my house, someone put it there. Never had a bird in my house. Actually, I had one bird in my house one time. B, if you had 5 questions to ask EK, she was compelled to answer, what would they be? I'm going to pass on that because I've answered that over the last 11 and a half months enough. How many raccoons could you realistically fight off if necessary? I've never seen them go at it. I mean, I would think quite a few.
This one made me laugh too.
I mean, there's a number at which I would get overtaken. I don't know what that number is. Is it 20? Is it 100? Is it 1,000? I don't know. But I mean, I think I could take a few. Like under 5, I'm in. Under 5, they can't take me.
Imagine.
Yeah. Would I interview PBD? Yeah, of course. No doubt. Which are easier to raise, girls or boys? I don't think there's an answer to that. They're both difficult in their own ways, and they're both easy in their own ways. I don't know the answer to that. I think I find them comparable. They're difficult in different ways, and they're easy in different ways. Wondering where are Charlie's parents in all this? I've answered that. I don't know. They're private people. Did you know Salem is releasing a never before seen interview with Charlie recorded weeks before he died? I did not know that. How does jury selection work for the CK case? Do you think they can stack the jury with feds? Believe it or not, jury selection is on a state-by-state basis. I don't know how they do it in Utah. I've tried cases by struck jury, where you strike a jury. I've tried cases by picked jury, where you pick a jury. They're both drastically different strategies for how do you end up with a jury. With a struck jury, you start with a panel of, let's call it 50, just for round numbers. And we know we're going to have 12 jurors and 2 alternates. And so you do the jury questionnaires, you review them, you make your notes, you do your questions, Q&A, you make your notes as they answer. And then you start saying, I don't want this person. One side goes first. They say, I don't want this person. No questions asked. They're gone. Boom. I don't want that person. No questions asked. They're gone. Boom. I don't want that person. I don't want that person. And then you strike the jury until there's only 14 people remaining. And then you strike the last 2 and they're alternates. I can't read that. If you put a link in the private chat, I'll pull it up. But I still can't read it.
It's fine. I just said a panel. They do a panel too.
Yeah, but I mean, if everybody has a panel. Are they striking it? Are they picking it? I can't read it. I'd have to read it. So if you give me a link, I can click on it and read it. But that's how you strike a jury, and you strike it down. And so the way to end up on a jury there is you don't ever say a word. And the only challenge to a struck jury like that is what they call Batson versus Kentucky. If you're intentionally excluding minorities, that's a Batson challenge, and that may or may not succeed. So if I've struck 8 people, let's say it's 50-50, right? Half black, half white. And I've struck 8 people and all 8 are black, they might raise a Batson challenge. You can't do that. Can't do that. So, they, in a sense, black people have a right to participate as well as white people. So you can't strike them just because they're black. So, and then you get strikes for cause, and those don't count against your strikes. They're removed from the pool, and then the pool gets smaller. So that's a struck jury. Did you put it in there? Yeah, I'll grab it.
It says voir dire.
Voir dire, yeah. Jury selection. At the trial's beginning, I'll put it up on the screen so people can read it. They may have been able to see it when you did it, but I couldn't see it. Clerk calls panel. Asked questions. That's for dire, yeah. Any judge or attorney feels the jury is not qualified. The jury is excused for cause. Okay, so that's a for cause strike. No limit to parties' challenges for cause. Fair enough. Both sides are entitled to certain other peremptory challenges, means they may excuse some prospective jurors without stating any reasons. Yeah, so that didn't even get to whether, I'm guessing they're picked rather than struck, but I can't tell from that rendition there. So the answer to the question is, I don't know. What's the most ridiculous thing you know way too much about? AIDS, HIV testing in particular, way too much. It's obscene. And I haven't even really looked at it in 10 years. And I would walk into, I would have to brush up, but I feel like I could walk into a deposition with an HIV doctor or expert right now without notes and depose them and probably know more than they do. That's not bragging. That's just what I did for a while, and it has no practical value in my life. It never comes up. I know way too much about it, and it never comes up. Never comes up. It's never a place in life where I have to mention it, bring it up. It's of no value, and it's all still there. And it's ridiculous. What's your best or worst realization since 9/10? Have any previously held beliefs changed? What is your prediction for how this all turns out? Yeah, a previous belief that was changed. I originally thought he was shot from another location with a lower caliber round. So that has changed. I don't think that anymore. Although I'm open to it, but I don't think it. Best and worst realization. I don't know how to quantify best or worst, or qualify best or worst. So I don't even know really what you're asking. Best according to whom? Worst according to whom? What's the prediction for how this turns out? I don't think he can try. I don't think the state can try the case. I really don't think the state can try the case, so I don't know. But I also think he committed crimes that day, and crimes that could land him potentially a life in prison. So, he might have motivation to take a life without deal anyway, just to not have to go to trial and face the death penalty, even though he didn't do it. I could see him saying he did it in order to avoid the fallout from him saying he didn't do it, making them try the case, proving he didn't do it, and then ended up getting charged on something else and getting life in jail anyway. But now all the fears he has potentially about other people being harmed could come to fruition. I could see that. That's a fear. Did you speak with Morgan about his reaction to Candace after the pod? Does he still think the Mike theory is stupid? Talking about Joseph Scott Morgan. I did speak to him about Candace. I'm going to keep private conversations off the record. We didn't talk as on the record, so I'm not, but I will tell you I talked to him about it. It was both before and after, so I did talk to him. Does he still think the Mike theory is stupid? Probably. I didn't ask him that, but I would think probably he thinks that. So thankful you have this lighthearted episode today to help with the heavy content that you've covered the last 11 months. Yeah, I honestly, that was kind of my thought behind it. I'm going to be gone for a few days. The stuff I kind of wanted to get into today is not something that I want to leave open for the next 4 days and not come back the next day and cover more of. And so I had no problem in the world with, people have been asking for a Q&A on the member side to follow up. Let's do one for the regular folks. Not the regular folks. I mean, just do one for the live stream. And see what kind of questions we get. I think it's fun. I don't want to do this often, but I do want to do it occasionally. Because it forces me to face questions that I wouldn't normally get from you, and you get to learn a little about me, and I get to learn a little about you, what you guys care about. So, a fan of this. I've been a fan of this today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for showing up. Just gentle reminder, you will not see me again until Monday, in all likelihood. I mean, there's outside possibility I do something crazy, but in all likelihood, you will not see me until Monday. So
It's at 3:33 right now, so I just want to make sure we don't end it on that.
I'll talk for another 30 seconds.
Talk a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. 3:34. Woo. There we go. I'll talk for a couple minutes, but no, I've really enjoyed this. I've enjoyed getting to know this community. I think this community is unbelievably valuable. We lift each other up in success. We celebrate with each other. We pray for each other. We, mourn for each other when things aren't going well, or when you're suffering a setback or something tragic happens in your life. Not every show is this way. And I think it's one of the reasons they hate this show so much. I genuinely do. I think they can't stand the fact that we're a good community getting together, getting better every day. And I want to continue that. I want to continue to get better every single day. I will see you guys Monday. I hope to see you here. And in the meantime, I know there's a temptation that comes in. And sometimes you get busy and sometimes you forget. But don't ever forget. Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you. Have a wonderful night, everybody. I will chat soon. And hope you enjoy the next 4 days. I'll see you Monday.